I'd like to call the Select Board meeting to order on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, 6:30 p.m. Any non-public tonight, Jim?
Mr. Chairman, we have two items, RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, lowercase a, employment, and lowercase l, legal advice.
So I'd like to add to that RSA 91-A:32 for legal matters.
Okay. Consideration of minutes, February 11th, 2026. Linda?
Yes, it's on page 4, and I looked at the video, and there's some errors in the motions. So I'm going to start on line 48, and the second by John Thurston needs to be removed. Then on line 52, that I'm going to move down lower.
You mean 152?
152, yep, down lower.
So I didn't see line 48.
I'm sorry, 148, I'm sorry. 148, take out the motion, second by Mr. Thurston. Then I'm going to move 152 until later. So that will be moved down, and I'm going to start with line 153. It'll be new. Mr. O'Brien questioned whether the motion to table should be voted on. At that point, Mr. Thurston seconded the motion. Then the following line will read, Mr. Senecal stated that Mr. Deshaies' motion has a second. He calls for the vote on Mr. Deshaies' motion, and then you get approved 3-2. Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Thurston, no. Anybody have any issue with that? Okay.
I would just as well add on line 7, I'm referenced and I was not in attendance at that meeting, so I should be struck.
Dave, I have on page 2.
Wait a minute. Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I have on page 2, line 74. It says, Mr. Deshaies' discussion on setting a limit of 10. It should be 10, not 12. We decided on 12, but 10 was the number of vessels that I wanted to decide on. And then...
Just a point of information, Brian, did you go back and look at the video, or was it just off your memory?
It's my memory.
Okay.
And
I have no objection if that's your number.
yeah, and then 154, motion by Mr. It's on page 4. It says, motion by Mr. Deshaies to set the 2026 license for the jet skis in Back Bay, $2,500 each. It's not $2,500 each. It was $2,500 for the dock lease.
And again, that's your memory?
Correct.
Not from the video?
Correct.
No objection.
Okay, any others?
There, Dave.
John?
Line 145, Mr. Thurston to set fee for the MS Mount Washington at 0.25 cents per passenger if estimated at 100,000.
Okay, any other changes? Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept as amended.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public input limited to 3 minutes per residence, 15 minutes in total. Anybody want to talk to us right now?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just before we begin, my phone is on. I have a personal matter that I've left my phone on. It's turned over, but if it dings, I'm going to be looking at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, public hearings.
No.
Oh,
Just one. Good evening, Derek Brown, Libby Street. Observations, primarily. I've watched and rewatched the Meet the Candidates night at the encouragement of many people that watched them. and specifically about comments about the pipe, which I find deeply troubling. For those familiar with the pipe, I don't think I need to sit and explain that. I watched two selectmen running for re-election take credit for correcting the contamination problem in Wolfeboro Bay. These two candidates, what they should be doing is thanking the public for bringing this to their attention. What they did instead is conceal this from the public entirely from at least 2018 until January 7th, 2026. A citizen forced your hand to expose it. You had members of your own board accuse citizens of spreading false information. Brian, keep the smirk going.
I wasn't smirking.
You attacked the credibility of one sitting selectman for having the courage to stand up and say we have a problem. During the entire month of January, at all the select board meetings, you fought the truth of the situation and resisted. What's most troubling is a word I call integrity. You should consider adopting the following phrase: do the right thing first. And what's really important in that phrase is there's a comma between thing and first. And what it represents is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. I guess I have to read between the lines for the apology, as you think enough of the seriousness of the situation that the pipe has become a platform for you to get reelected and ask for votes because you've solved the problem. You talk about it with a sense of ownership as something you've fixed. I guess those now realize it was a situation that was pretty serious versus hinted at being made up. Dave, Mr. Senecal, I apologize. Since you mentioned you got DES involved to help with this, that should be a big relief to the public. So I'll ask you, who do you think really got the right players at DES involved? And you don't have to answer that, because I think you and I both know the answer. It was me. Wrong. It was me.
I thought it was John.
No. I did the hunting to find the right people, to relieve him of that. But then as soon as I found them, I handed them over to the selectman, who was also a witness of the situation. Ms. Murray. Well, actually, before I go on, a lot of violations happened as a result of this, with this pipe and public safety, as Board of Health Officer. Ms. Murray, Chair of the Wolfeboro Waters Committee, I assume you realize that you've violated the Clean Waters Act. And I guess I have to ask on behalf of the public, where have you been during this whole process, during that active membership? So this is just my opinion, and I make that clear, this is just my opinion. For the two of you, this is more about money and your pet projects and saving face. It's not about public safety, nor is it about the lake. There's enough track record to show there's less indication of being concerned about the public. Winnipesaukee is our most cherished resource, and you polluted it. You have to own that. I want to remind the public, for anybody listening out there, this was concealed right in plain sight. The Select Board, the Town Manager, Board of Health Officer, DPW, and Wolfeboro Waters Committee kept an incredibly serious health hazard a secret from the public. No notifications, no attempts to correct, no engagement. None. Until January, and it was exposed. There's countless citizens that have approached me, both in person and in writing, saying, we have problems too, but we don't know how to bring these stories forward. They name names, they talk about what's happened to them, but they almost unanimously close with, we're fearful of retaliation, so we don't come forward. Well, this is symptomatic of the culture of the Wolfeboro Town government. Now, just so we're clear, I feel for those people that have brought these things forward, because I myself have gone through this personally. trying to bring these things forward. So my personal experience with the Wolfeboro Bay contamination and Forest Road sewer line extension, I'm only pointing out these two because I have significant personal investment, involvement, and understanding what's gone on. And these two exact situations, the same personnel that I mentioned earlier were involved in both of these projects, and their cover-ups and their misdoings. And I need to close by saying, at the expense of the taxpayers. Thank you.
Anybody else at this point? Okay, we'll move on to first public hearing. Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, 6:30 in the Great Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, for the acceptance of unanticipated funds for an amount donated that is under $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B3A relative to donations received listed below and are exclusive for the repairs to the old Firehouse Community Center located at 32 Lena Street. Now, what do you think, should we read them all?
This is the one we're doing here, yeah. I would say,
We have an amended agenda.
that's the other next one. This one is on this one,
Okay.
and I would ask
Oh, that's
if
right.
anybody
Yep.
wants to speak to it and then read the names.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Anybody want to speak to it?
What's yeah mean, Paul?
I agreed with Linda's point. If anybody wants to speak to it, and then we'll read the names into the record.
Understood, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, $500 from Marie Poulin, $500 Joan and Steve Arsenault, $100 from Carol McMahon, $100 from Elfrida Raditz, $200 from Janice Lasnitz, $200 from Janet Vaughn, $100 from Karen Burnett Curry, $100 from Carol Zucker, $100 from Betty and Richard Frazier, $1,000 in memory of Sarah Silk, and $2,500 anonymous. Somebody want to make a motion that we accept those?
I'll make a motion that we accept the list that the chairman just read.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, 6:30 p.m. at the Great Hall, Town Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, for the acceptance of unanticipated funds, an amount donated that is over $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B3A relative to donations from business individuals sponsoring events, programs on December 31st, 25 at various locations around town by the Economic Development Committee Special Event Committee. Linda?
Yeah, I'd like to speak to it. These were the donors for last night Wolfeboro. This paid for all the events and the fireworks. It's Melanson Real Estate, $500. Maxfield Real Estate, $300. Black's Fireside, which is Black's Paper Store, $750. North Main Cafe, $100. Yankee Peddler, $300. Windrifter Resort, $500. Beyond the Box, $1,500, $150. Have I been reading this all wrong?
No.
No? Just that one?
Keep going.
All right. Bradley's Hardware, $250. P&D Zimmerman, $500. Nancy Hirschberg, $500. Wentworth Inn, $300. Kraus CPA, $200. Wolfeboro Car Wash, $100. The Art Place, $150. Edward Jones Lawler, $100. Leone, McDonald, and Roberts, 500. Eastern Propane, 100. Top of the Hill Farm, 150. New England Coastal Real Estate, 500. Bailey's Bubble, 300. Harmony Coffee, 300. Brewster Academy, 500. Taylor Community, 500. Camp Patrol, 100. 1,000. Hunters IGA. Piscataway Landscaping and Tree Service, 750. Wolfeboro Corinthian Yacht Club, 300. Nordic Skier, 100. Lake Winnie, 500. J. Clifton AV, 500. Cash from the event, $1,007. The next one should read Greg Rourke Jr., 300. The next one says Garwood, but it's 300. It's the Wolfeboro Dockside Grill and Bar, and Kate Turner, $23, for a grand total of $12,000.
Nice.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion to accept it?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody who donated.
Absolutely.
All right, next, temporary event permits. Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, 6:30. Consider a temporary event permit for the Wolfeboro Garden Club to host a wreath sale fundraiser at the railroad station from November 15th, 2026 to November 22nd, 2026, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Permit 2026-12. Anybody here to speak to that? Okay.
I don't have any problem going forward with this because we have done it for at least 2 or 3 years now, and it's been very successful.
Is that a motion to approve?
I can, if you
Okay.
want that. I'll do that as a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, the Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026 at 6:30. Consider a temporary event permit for Brewster Academy to host an On the Green One Arts and Crafts Festival on July 10th through July 12th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on DeWolf Field at Brewster Academy, permit 2026-14.
Hi. Christine Brown for Brewster Academy. This is an annual event where we have arts and crafts I'm sorry, I should just yell. Arts and crafts as well as some snack foods. Proceeds for field rental go towards day student scholarships.
Okay, anybody have any questions from here? Anything from the public? I will close the hearing.
Move to approve a temporary event permit for Brewster Academy to hold a On the Green One Arts and Craft Festival on July 10th through July 12th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on DeWolf Field at Brewster Academy, permit number 2026-14.
I'm going to second, but I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
I'm going to second, I'm going to support it. It's a great idea. It's always a great time to buy stuff there. I was asked by somebody, and I should know the answer to this, and I don't. And the question I was asked is, why are we requiring a special event permit on someone's private property?
Linda?
That's what the ordinance says.
Including private property?
Yes, it's outdoor.
Could you pull your mic closer, Paul?
Oh, I'm sorry. And I didn't check the ordinance, so Linda, thank you for doing that. My question, which I was asked, and I will dig up the ordinance because I think we need to do some work on it. The question was, why are we requiring somebody who has private property to come to us to get permission to use their private property to conduct a special event? And I think there's another one coming at us in a couple of weeks, which may involve the NIC. And if it's in the ordinance, then Linda, I stand silent on it. I support what you're doing.
I will go on to say that part of the reason they did it was that we were having trouble with traffic and events, and it was when the fair was here.
The fair.
And it was to try to have them come in here so we could keep an eye on the events, so we didn't have two events colliding with each other.
Okay.
That was what I remember.
I completely support what you're doing. I'm going to vote in favor of it, and you can guarantee I'm going to look at the ordinance and see, whether we're...
Any other questions?
Thank you. I don't question Linda. I just want to look at the ordinance.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, 6:30 p.m. to consider a temporary event permit for Brewster Academy to host On the Green 2 Arts and Crafts Festival on August 7th through the 9th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sunday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on DeWolf Field at Brewster Academy, permit 2026-15.
This is where I say ditto, different
Ditto.
months.
Okay, any
Would
questions?
you like a motion?
Any questions from the public? Thank you. Close the hearing.
I move to issue a temporary event permit for Brewster Academy to host a On the Green 2 Art and Craft Festival on August 7th through 9th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on DeWolf Field at Brewster Academy, permit 2026-15.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next public hearing, Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, it should be. 6:30 p.m. to consider a temporary event permit for the New England chapter of Antique and Classic Boat Society, Inc. to host the 53rd Annual New England Chapter Summer Boat and Car Show at the Town Docks parking lot, Kate Park, and Community Bandstand on July 25th, 2026, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., permit number 2026-16.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Steve Polizza. I'm a president of the New England chapter of the Antique and Classic Boat Society, and we're just seeking to continue the tradition that we have of hosting the boat show the fourth weekend of July down at the town docks. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about it. We don't expect anything to deviate from what we've done in previous years.
Well, I think you must be used to it after 52 years. Hey, questions, Linda?
Yeah, I just noticed on the page 5 that under sanitation plan, and it looks like Steve Randall is saying it's required. So would you check with our public works director and see what he needs?
We are to check with Steve Randall at Public Works to see if he needs anything in relation to our
It says
event.
sanitation facility plan, and so I don't know
Interesting.
what he's requesting of you at this point.
Okay.
You should
very
probably
well.
call him on that.
Of course, we'll reach out.
So
to
does that raise the question to you? Have you had to do that in the past, or?
No.
And,
I mean,
and most,
sanitation, there's restrooms at the Bubble, at the dockside there. I'm not quite sure what that might pertain
It
to.
says, it was marked on the sheet that we received, please include sanitation facility plan appropriate for the number of attendees, which will include information relative to porta potties, facilities, trash containers, and a provision that the property and surrounding area and roadway shall be clear of all debris within 12 hours following the event. If you will be using town of Wolfeboro trash containers, please notify Public Works at least 2 weeks prior to the event.
Okay.
So that's, if you just do that, and you and him
Absolutely.
can work that out.
so could we make a motion to approve with the contingency that he
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just brought it up so he knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. No.
So that was a motion to approve,
Second.
Contingent on that.
contingent on that, yes.
Yep, okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is the bulk vote. This includes weekly manifests, abatements and refund, intent to cuts, property tax credits and exemptions.
I'll make a motion to accept the bulk vote A through D.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we got one committee appointment, Jeff Marshan to the Conservation Commission. I'll make a motion that we approve Jeff to be on the Conservation Commission. I don't have when his term expires, but it's usually 3 years, so it'll be probably 2029.
I'll second your motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have you met Jeff, Brian?
Maybe. I can't remember the names.
Okay, next on the agenda, under new business, Kingswood Golf Course discretionary easement. Jim, did you have something for that?
Yeah, so upon my return, I had this memo from Todd related to the discretionary easement. I forwarded it to legal based on some of the follow-up correspondence which was sent out to the board from Todd. And legal is struggling with some of the assertions about the testimony at the 2019 hearing. So the question is if you should table this to get some more clarity around the issue or not.
I think what we heard from the attorney was no new information, and I would be willing to continue to discuss this so that the golf club could get the easement.
I don't have a,
Go ahead, Linda.
we don't have a copy of the easement. I think that's where I have some problem. We have an old copy of the easement. I don't know if town attorney went over that. I don't have a new draft that we're voting in. So I'm not interested in voting in something I don't have a written copy of. We have all the other ones. The other issue I have is, and I'm still not clear on, and I don't even know if it's right, our assessor, because I don't always feel like I get clear information from him. The document that states that this, the course, if it reverts back to the previous owner, which he applies it does, is unbuildable. And I don't know where that statement, I have no way, and Nathan didn't answer that.
I think I read that in the document that you asked for. It said that that land was unbuildable.
I didn't see it, and if you show me where, when I went through and read it, I didn't see saying, it said, because of deed such and such, this site is, it said, I don't have a document. That's where I'm having my issue. I'd like to see a
So
document.
it was right during the section where it talked about the 14 acres, and then just after that, it talked about the land that was unbuildable because it was on the golf course playing holes.
So the question that I have is, if the golf course goes bankrupt and ceases to exist, then, according to the deed, I believe, because it was willed to the golf course in order to be used as a golf course, and if it goes back to the heirs, then it can become buildable again.
That's not, excuse me, Dave, my turn, can I talk?
That's my question for the attorney. I don't know. That's my question for the attorney. What happens if they go bankrupt and it goes back to the heirs?
Dave? So the Hilda Seva Trust gave the heirs lifetime memberships. That's all they got. They didn't get rights to the golf course, they just got lifetime memberships. So it's held in the Kingswood Corporation and held in the corporation solely. So the heirs get nothing but lifetime memberships. That's it. That's in the Hilda Seaver Trust court case.
Paul, did you have a question?
I did not,
Okay.
but I agree with Linda. I haven't seen any proposed document from the attorney, part one. Part two, and this is going to sound awfully bureaucratic, but I'm going to do that. In the past 3 days, I've received as many, maybe two in the past 3 days, documents from the assessor. I'll be honest with you, I don't process that well. And number three is when I saw Jim's note this afternoon, which he just recounted to us, that the lawyer is struggling with things. I'm not keen to agree to anything until the lawyer says, I'm done struggling and here's what I think we should do. So, I'm sorry, but that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to a discretionary easement, I just don't have the information. You know, I voted for it the last time, and so but I would like to see the document and us to get it going and get it moved forward.
So can we ask if there's anybody to speak to this?
Well, I'm
Public hearing.
getting there.
All right.
All right. Yes, Sebastian, you had asked that you be able to speak to this.
Sebastian Tordonato. Okay, I heard a lot of things here that aren't quite accurate, so I'm going to try to address them all. First of all, I used to be president of Kingswood. I have been designated by the board of directors to deal with things such as tax abatements, the discretionary easement. So I have the authority to deal with it, in case you're wondering. And also my wife is the president, so I get to deal with this because she's a little under the weather. So first of all, about the discretionary easement, or those who don't know what a discretionary easement is, it is a deed filed with the county which says that the town has an encumbrance on the property so that it cannot be further developed. The question that you have, Linda, about the document it's not a new easement, it's the same easement. What we have filed is a renewal of the easement that we've had for the past 10 years. So the easement that is currently in place today, which will be in place until next month, is the same easement we're asking for. It's a continuation of that. So it's not a new easement, there's no documents that have to be shown. The one that you have is the easement that we're trying to get into place. The question that you had about the going bankrupt and the old owners and this, that, the other thing, there are no old owners. What there was we had a court case in the 80s sometime with a group known as the quote-unquote lifetime members. And the reason why they're called lifetime members, they said that their forefathers donated the land, and so therefore they're entitled to some compensation for the land. But it was donated. It was through various trusts. It was donated to Kingswood Golf Club. When the case went to court, the judge awarded all the land to the club. There is no other person or persons that are entitled to that land. The only thing that the judge gave the quote-unquote lifetime members was lifetime memberships, which is why they're called lifetime members. And how that works is the heirs who originally brought the suit get to have lifetime privileges of golf privileges. And then when they pass away, they're allowed to pass that right on to one heir. After the second person dies, they have no claim, so it's done. The only provision that you may be referring to that is in the Hilda Seaver settlement agreement is that should the club be sold or go bankrupt, then they receive some portion of the money, as depending on how much they had previously donated to the club in terms of land. So some people may have like 7 shares, another one may have 3 shares, another might have 2 shares. So a prorated basis of what they would get if the club should go bankrupt or if the club were sold altogether. And that list has been diminished over time by, I have gone out and bought some of those memberships back. My predecessors have gone out and bought some of those memberships back, and some of them have actually passed away. So the only ones that we know of that are currently active, we are currently trying to buy out. And the one who's most active would be John Hanson in town here, and his family. But they do not get the land.
Yeah. So Dave, I was going by, I had a discussion with Todd Hayward, and he said to me that the deed, original deed, when it was willed, that the will of the deed, he thought, and that's why I said I wasn't sure, it may be like the Libby Museum and go back to the original owners. Now, if that's not the case, I trust you and I believe you.
I can tell you that Mr. Haywood is incorrect. Okay? The thing that governs this is something called the Hilda Seaver Consent Decree, which I provided a copy to the BTLA because they requested it. And there's a statement in there, something about the lifetime members, that maybe the thing can't be buildable.
Yeah.
That is only because there's a discretionary easement on it. That's why we want the discretionary easement. We want the discretionary easement, and you should want the discretionary easement in order to ensure that the club stays here, that the club always provides a place for open space. The club provides an economic benefit to the town in that people that come up here for vacation, they have a place to golf. There is no other golf course within Wolfeboro that allows public play. We are a semi-private course, and by charter, that means we have to allow the residents of Wolfeboro to play, or any member of the public to play at the golf course. So that means that when people come up here, they come up here to play golf during the vacations. They have open space. It brings an economic benefit because they're playing, they're eating at the restaurant, drinking beer. So you get, the meals tax, the alcohol tax, whatever. So I think it's a good thing. It protects the town. It protects us. I don't understand why there's so much confusion about this. And all I can state, it is the same easement that is currently in place. Now, if you're all worried about the amounts, the tax break kind of thing for the easement says that that the assessment of the golf course is at 50% of the fair market value. But as we discovered it's not 50% of the whole golf course.
Correct.
Okay, it is 50% of the playing surfaces.
Correct.
And as Ms. Teresa Walker showed in the BTLA decision, the way you figure that out is you come up with a going concern cost, you take off the FFE and the goodwill, and what you have left is what the club is worth. And then you take off the land that is not covered by the discretionary easement, that which is under current use. You take off the clubhouse, the cart barn, the pro shop, the maintenance facility, and that 14 acres that you referred to was 14 acres that was part of the maintenance facility, but they neglected to put that in the appraisal report, so they put it back in. So it wasn't like somebody did anything wrong. It was just an oversight. the BTLA put it back in and raised the assessment of the club accordingly for that 14 acres, and they were right to do that. So once you take all that out of the equation, what you're left with is the land, the land that is the playing surface of the golf course, which in this case is 124 acres versus the entire golf course, which is 174 acres. So once you establish the value of that 124 acres, you divide that in half because the discretionary easement is for 50%. And you will see if you go to page 14 of the BTLA decision that the easement, the value of the easement is actually about $200,000 of assessed value. That's not $200,000 of taxes, $200,000 of assessed value. I can tell you that right now, today, since we just went through revaluation, when we went through revaluation, let's just say we thought the assessment wasn't quite right. So we had a meeting, we had a discussion, telephone conference between our tax consultant, myself, and Mr. Haywood. And we negotiated a settlement that, you know, would preclude us from going to the BTLA again. They don't want to go to the BTLA, we don't want to go to the BTLA for a variety of reasons. We negotiated a settlement. That is what we agreed to. In fact, if you agree to this discretionary easement, it doesn't affect the cost at all because we've already come up with a price or a settlement value for the club. That's what we're going to be assessed at. That's what we're going to pay taxes on. The discretionary easement only protects it from being built up into a more what do they call it? There's a term for that. It prevents from being built on. So it stays as open space. So there's no cost penalty either way. There's no cost benefit for us. There's no cost penalty for you. Linda, yes.
Yeah, my one question here is, did you negotiate, and I understand the different parts and what is in the discretionary easement, which is just a playing field.
Yeah.
Has that assessment stayed the same? Or did you renegotiate?
No, we renegotiated it. We went up. You know, when he said that, well, you know, the tax rate was going to go down, I said, yes, I agree with that. And I said, so I believe that a fair value for the golf course, because what it all breaks down to is what other golf courses have been selling for in the region. And I said a fair amount is, and I raised the assessed value of the entire golf course to the value that we're at now.
I'm asking on that discretionary piece. Did that stay the same, or did you negotiate
The
that?
50%?
Yes,
No,
the course.
that stays the same.
That's
because
what my question was. That was my question.
It's the same easement. We can't negotiate because that would be a different easement.
I just wanted to make sure
It's the same. It's the same
was
50%.
okay. And the value, the market value that we're using has stayed the same.
The market value has gone up.
Okay.
The easement amount has stayed the same. So in essence, we're going to pay more tax than we had before.
So the easement amount went up, and we're 50% of the new assessment, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so and as ours goes up, that 50% goes up with our change in assessed value on that easement.
The 50% remains the same. The
Percentage remains the same, but the
so-
assessment, they're two different things.
Yes, I know. The
and so
assessment has gone up. The 50% value has stayed the same.
always stays the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Because
that's what I
again,
understood.
it's the same easement. We're only renewing it. We're not asking for a new easement.
Did I answer your question?
I'm fine. No.
Okay.
And I think to make it clear for everybody, the struggle that I think we're having here is the assessor said, no, do not renew this easement, where legal is telling us he doesn't see how we can not renew the easement. So that's the struggle.
Let me put it this way. If you don't renew this, I'm going to find some way to appeal it. If I have to go to court, that's what will happen. So,
But I think he's telling you why we're having an issue. That was the piece of paper I got. That's why I asked a whole bunch of other questions to make sure, because this is a 10-year agreement.
Right.
And so we as a board need to feel comfortable that we've gotten the right answer. That's
And
why
I-
we sent it to legal, and he came back not affirmative in one direction or not. He was having some problems. So that's why we're struggling.
if I could just say, excuse me, John,
Go ahead.
I'll let you talk in a minute.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Jim a question again.
Not throwing any stones or arrows at Mr. Haywood, but to this day, Mr. Haywood disagrees with what the BTLA did. Okay, Mr. Haywood assessed the golf course improperly, in fact, illegally, by doing what the BTLA said was a cumulative assessment, which is not supposed to be done. To this day, Mr. Haywood still believes that a cumulative assessment is proper. So when you tell me that he says we shouldn't do it, I guess I would have to ask you, what exactly did he say that we shouldn't do it? And why shouldn't we do it? I mean, did he give you a reason? I'm not trying to be argumentative, but...
Yeah, his declaration of public interests, he notes additionally, due to the fact that this property will never be anything but a golf course, it appears that the discretionary easement is not in the public interest as described in the law. That's what prompted me to sit here and say, okay, he's going contrary to a previous case.
So he's basically saying, we don't want to sell it, so it probably isn't going to be sold, so we don't want to do it. But it is in the public interest because it does provide open space, it does provide some economic activity, and which the town benefits from, albeit we benefit from as well. So there is an economic activity, and there's open space. And as far as I understand from the RSAs, if it's, let's see if I can quote this correctly. I think it's RSA starts with 79 something or other.
79C,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it says that you should provide this, especially for golf courses, that it is available and you should do this for golf courses. So I believe, you know, not that I have a vested interest in this, but your attorney is actually correct.
Correct.
That he says you doesn't see a way why you shouldn't do it. Go ahead, John.
So I'd like you to repeat what you just said about the attorney, what the second part, which Sebastian just asked you about.
Due to the fact that this property will never be anything but a golf course, it appears that the discretionary easement is not in the public's interest as described in law. That was what was written by Mr. Haywood.
No,
However, what the attorney had wrote was that I am struggling with Todd's assertion about testimony at the 2019 hearing that if the property ceases to operate as a golf course, that ownership would revert. I don't see any mention of that in the decision, and I have not seen documents reflecting that statement. Without more information supporting this conclusion, I would be very reluctant to deny a request for a discretionary easement on this basis. And then he, as well, highlighted and bolded the bullet points in RSA 79C:3 of qualifying lands.
So if I'm not mistaken, it says do not deny the request.
The attorney is leaning that way, but I think what he's saying is I need more information from the assessing office to understand why the assessor is saying do not renew this, and that puts us in a quagmire.
The assessor is saying this for two reasons, if I could do this, and I don't mean to be rude or crude about it, but he had his hand slapped pretty bad, and he still hasn't forgotten it, and he still thinks that his assessment methodology is correct, and it isn't. And he was told that, but he still wants to prove and he still wants to fight that. And, you know, he's not a lawyer. Your lawyer's telling you that he doesn't see why you would deny this. And quite frankly, I don't understand why you would deny this. I mean, this is in the public interest. And I guess what Todd is saying is because we intend to continue to operate as a golf course, you shouldn't get the easement because, well, they're going to continue to operate as a golf course. That's kind of circular logic. I'm sorry, but that's what it is.
Brian?
My one question, and maybe you can help me with this, Sebastian. The discretionary easement is between Kingswood Golf Club and the town of Wolfeboro. So my question is, could this easement also go on to successors? Could we write it so that if you did sell it, the easement stays in place?
No, we can't sell because the easement's in place.
Correct.
That's the whole point.
Okay.
Linda, you and I.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind we need to put this easement on.
Yeah.
You know, I support it 100%. I want it to be open space. I just want to make sure we're doing it correctly, and that's where I'm having the trouble. I looked at your form. It doesn't do a description. I'm assuming we're going to do another document that's going to be recorded. I don't think we just take the document that we have and just re-record it. And
I checked the procedure for that, and the procedure is if you're going to ask for a new easement, in other words, something with different numbers, or something, and I guess RSA 79-3, whatever it is, says that it can vary from current use to 75% of fair market value. That's the range. We had selected 50, you had selected, we'd all agreed to 50. That's the same one. I'm not sure that it says if you are doing a renewal, you just file this form and put renewal on the top. It is the same easement. We're not doing a new easement. All we do is, see, the way it is, you file this, and you file it in with the county. If the easement ends, you have to get it taken off. If you don't take it off, I don't know, it just stays on.
So you're saying this piece of paper here gets filed? Because
that gets filed. It says it's being renewed.
We're going to file with the Carroll County Registry of Deeds, is your understanding?
Yes, it's saying that it gets filed. It says the other easement the previous easement remains in force.
Okay.
Paul?
Yeah, thanks for the explanation and the history.
Trust me, it took me a long time to figure it all out.
I think we went through this movie a handful of years ago. Mm-hmm. It was
10 years ago.
Was it that short?
Yeah.
And it was messy then. Not messy now. I support the notion of the easement, but here's what caused me to have pause. One was the flurry of documents, which tells me, oops, by the way, I got more information for you. That normally piques my interest. But when the lawyer says, I think I'm missing something, I'm using my words. What am I missing here? And I think until he has a clearing conversation with Todd, I'm not keen to do anything. I'm just not. My tendency is to agree to go on with it because I agree with Linda, it should be available for folks. But until I hear from the attorney that says I've talked to the assessor, my opinion prevails. That's where I'm going.
Which is, I don't have a real problem with that.
Yeah, okay, good.
My only problem is okay, so you all know I'm running for first Board of Selectmen. If this goes on beyond the time of the end of the election, should I be fortunate enough to win, then I can't stand up here and talk to you about it.
Correct.
So I have to recuse myself, and I can't talk to you about it. The reason why I want to get this done before the election time and also before the easement runs out is the reasons are obvious. I'm the one who knows the most about it.
Brian?
So, again, Jim, could you please ask our attorney, because when I keep looking at it, it says for 79C and 71D, a discretionary easement is a voluntary agreement between a landowner and a municipality to protect specific qualifying land or other things. These are designed to preserve open space, correct? but it says, impact on sale, the land remains in private ownership and can be sold. Can be, hold on.
It can be sold with your permission.
Well, hold on.
You have to agree to it.
But
for
the
us to sell
buyer
it.
must abide by the terms of the existing easement. Now, this is what I've found before. So the easement does get tied to the property, and if
Yeah.
it's sold, it does follow through
No.
with it. And I just want to make sure that
We
I understand
can't sell
correct.
it, okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you, Brian. We cannot sell. It's like you have a lien on the property. So it's like if you had a lien on a car.
Correct.
Yes, the car could be sold, but the lien holder has to agree with it. So when we do this for open space, you have a lien on the property. If we want to sell it, you have to agree to it. If you don't agree to it, it can't be sold. So basically, you're in control of it, and if you're saying, well, you came here under false pretenses, you got this discretionary easement, you got a big tax break, and now you're selling the property. No, we're not going to let you. And if you do that, we can't sell it.
Paul?
A closing question. Are we causing you harm by not, other than the fact that you might be sitting on this side of the table, are we causing you any harm by not taking an action?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm going to move that we table this until we hear from council, and we'll put it on the next meeting for disposition.
Okay.
I'll second it, but I have a
And
question.
thank you for that.
Yeah, well,
I've pulled all the tax cards, looking at what they have for 2024, 5 and 2026. Are you comfortable with those? No. Have you looked and reviewed them?
I haven't looked at them. I know that I've asked what is the what's the total assessment. I asked that of our bookkeeper, and she says, well, I don't know. I got two of the lots, but the other one says we have a credit on it. So the reason that is because the previous assessment was more than what we agreed to. So
When you paid your...
I'm assuming well, listen, Linda, when we did this and we won the abatement, what they did was they basically took all of the credit and put it onto one lot. It didn't make any sense, but the total package was the right number. So, yeah, whatever.
I'm just trying to find out. I went and pulled these
Yeah, if
to
you look
make
at those
sure that
things-
they were there, and
Yeah.
they had the amount in 2025, and the amount that they're looking for 2026 is the same, and I want to make sure that you are okay with these cards.
As long as they total up to the number that we agreed to, I'm okay with it. And you'll find out that if you read the BTLA agreement, one of the things they slapped the town with was the cards are indecipherable.
Correct.
They said the way they do it, they're ambiguous, they're
But that was in
almost indecipherable.
2019, and I'm
Yeah,
hoping
I know.
we've
And I'm
improved.
not-
I'm hoping we've improved since
Yeah,
there.
I hope
And
so,
I
too.
understand what went on in that BTL case, and we came out looking very poor. I got it. I understand that, and I think that that's part of what triggered me when I get this thing from him saying not to do it and asking about where the land's going. So that's why we asked town attorney, and I think that that's why I seconded it. I want this correct and ready to go, and that we're all happy when we put it. That's what we're trying to do.
Jim, I would like to just make sure that we can, because I've seen cases where property has been sold, even though there's somebody like our select board getting, or the town, getting a benefit from it. There are times when things can be sold.
Can I give you an assurance? Okay? The property's been a golf course since 1915. It will, in 2017, when I took over, they were having financial problems.
Yep.
Okay, 2 years into my presidency, I turned the whole place around. They're thriving, and they're doing very well. They will last another century if they continue to follow the
hope so.
policy I put in place, and further, in perpetuity. We have absolutely zero intent to sell that golf course. If that's of any consequence or assurance to you, then I give it to you.
I trust you, but
Yeah.
I just would like to make sure
So,
that...
Jim, to you, Nathan's fresh and hot on this trail. Can he get this squared away within the next 3 days?
That's a question for me.
I think that the question is not necessarily for Nathan. I think it's getting the information from Todd that Nathan needs to assure that he can make a decision contrary to what Todd is proffering.
So can we expedite this and get this?
I can certainly try.
All right. We have a motion and a second to table this and have it ready for our next meeting.
Well, and I think a colleague here said we'll make best effort to put this on the diary for the 18th. Is that what you asked?
Yep.
So I'd be
That's-
willing to extend my motion to that.
My second goes to the
Okay,
18th.
so we're cool on that.
Well, let's
Well, I
make
would-
sure we understand.
Yeah, well, I
Brian's
was-
right. He wants a date certain.
That isn't how I was trying to understand it. I was trying to understand what Nathan and Todd could get done since it's fresh. I just don't understand what it would entail.
I think it's a conversation between the two of them.
So if it's just a conversation between the two of them, why should we wait till the 18th?
You wanna
We
call
have a
special
motion
meeting,
to
John?
that.
You want to have a special meeting before the
Is that what you
18th?
want to do? You want to call a special meeting?
Sure.
Well, we have a motion on the floor
Okay,
right
go
now
ahead.
to
So let me, if I could, yeah.
expedite this to our next meeting on the 18th. That's a motion on the
That's the
floor
motion.
unless somebody wants to take it back.
Not taking it back.
Okay. All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Sebastian.
All right, next on our agenda is Popwell and Operations Report, February 2026.
Brian Paul is back with us, and he's coming up to the mic
Yeah.
to give you an update on what's going on at the arena. He's had an eventful couple of weeks.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great to be back. What's been happening in the last month or so, February has been a rough month, to say it nicely, at Pop Whalen. We've had some challenges. We've overcome most of those challenges. People probably have heard about I'll start with the heat problem in the hallway. That has been fixed, and we have heat again in the bathrooms and the hallways and the conference room. We were having a water problem with the wells because they were so dry from this summer. Well, thank goodness there's 50-degree weather, so snow is melting, and we also found out the problem with our water bubblers. It was something that happened years ago when they took out a holding tank and forgot to turn on the water to go through the filtering system. That has all been fixed, and that's on its way. Thanks to the Friends of Pop, a new electric Zamboni has been ordered and should be in our possession by November, so that'll take care of our Zamboni issue. Some people might have heard of some issues we were having with the compressors. We have tracked down that situation, that it had to do with the float in the holding tank in the compressors that was malfunctioning from the system that we use to clean the water to get the sediment out. It had failed. We thought it was the water pressure that wasn't going in to fill the water tank, but we found out on Monday that it was actually the floating device to trigger the water to turn on. That has been replaced as of yesterday, and everything is fine there. And with great efforts from Christine over the last year and a half, we were having problems with the company that we use to send out signals for alarms so we would be on top of this stuff. Finally, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, the alarms are now set so that I get the alarm as well as Scott gets the alarm instead of some predecessors that haven't been with the town for over a year and a half. Some exciting things that are happening at the Pop. We have right now 4 events that are Upcoming, we have the Paint the Ice at the end of March, where people come and they can come paint the ice like they did last year. It was a very popular item. We also have the Wedding Expo coming up on April 12th. We have a home show that we're trying to get started and looking for vendors for April 25th. And then we have our community-wide craft fair and flea market that is going to be held on May 16th. So the other thing that we're going to be adding this summer is we'll still have the pickleball pickup and stuff like that, but I'm also going to add in inline and roller skating, public skating sessions throughout the summer also.
Is that it? You're not going to do anything else?
Well, you know, we're going to try. And then, just so everyone's aware, as of through February, we have had over 975 people show up for public skating, and over 490 people show up for stick time so far. So people are definitely using it for the public sessions that are out there.
Dave?
Yep, Paul?
And this is just I'm leading the witness here, but it's deserved. The other night I was at the arena for the Bruins game, and I asked Brian, how many people are walking through the doors on average on a weekend? Do you remember the question?
Absolutely.
What was the answer you gave me to the question?
I gave you was probably about 1,000 people.
About 1,000 people walking through the doors. And that to me was a wow, right? And I say that not for any fault, to be, puffy here, but that I drive by that place, and it is noticeably busier, noticeably, and these numbers are telling me that. So with that as a leading the witness, why don't you take us through some of the numbers?
Well, just to give you an idea, just tonight, Kingswood girls had a playoff game, and there was well over 275 people at the arena witnessing that. Unfortunately, our Kingswood girls did lose 3-2 to Exeter. Unfortunately, there is a boys Kingswood playoff game on Saturday night. Hopefully everyone will come out for that.
Bravo.
John?
So that was a great question, Paul. I'm going to take it the other way. How many people didn't come through the doors when we were closed down? And
Well, obviously, 0.
I know, but
Zero.
how many were supposed to come through the doors?
We lost a significant amount of high school games, which is our big pull. We also lost out on youth practices, even high school practices, even though that's not a lot of fan support, it's still usable revenue that we lost. So we lost a significant amount in the 5 days that we were closed in the beginning of February due to the Zamboni, not having a Zamboni and waiting for a rental on our end.
So last week on Saturday you were closed down.
Saturday, the only thing we lost out on was, honestly, it was two blocks from Back Bay. They learned to skate in one game. The rest of it was all public skating that was there because Brewster had lost the night before, so they weren't going to be using their ice anyway. So it was just public skating sessions that we lost out on. Everything else was just a Back Bay learn to skate and a Back Bay 8 and under game against Berlin.
So can you put a number on those losses?
Probably somewhere in the realms of, we lost probably about $1,500.
Okay.
Dave?
Paul?
So I think, John, to your credit, you're making a good point. But I think what I'm trying to listen to, Brian telling us here is the rink had a failure. We figured out what the failure was. What I thought I heard you say is the system was sending email messages to former employees we lost the Zamboni. So we've had some things that didn't go very well. The question that we have to ask ourselves is, are we making, and I know this is going to make people just excitingly happy, are we making the right sustaining investments to keep this thing going? Not like keep it on life support, but to make sure we can stand up a credible capability. We're in the business. And we got to decide whether we want to invest in staying in the business. And if that means we have to, and we're getting a Zamboni, thank you. If that means we have to spend $500,000, $750,000, get the chiller, whatever it takes, we're in this business. Unless, of course, we don't want to be. And then we can, I think somebody offered to to find some private equity person who would want to buy. I don't think that'll happen.
So just on that note, there is a grant out there. The deadline is on Friday. I just got, literally, as I was sitting out back,
Free money.
The proposal from American Refrigeration for what it would be to replace it, and it's $1.7 million.
This is the, didn't Congressman Pappas?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and I'm not pushing back on you, John. I understand your questions. You know, what did we lose? But when you, at least for how I look at it, just let's sum it up and say, how do we grow? And we got to grow beyond the boo-boos. I mean, that some of those are self-inflicted wounds, some of those are not.
Right. Now, we did put already a order in and put a deposit on replacing the condenser tubes for this summer, which we did put into the budget which would be a huge, huge help. And there was a couple other issues that we have found that will probably help also. A water filtration system that needs to be put back in that was taken out when the building was rebuilt. Because I don't know, with literally a day and a half before this grant is due, if we can get it done in time, and if they're going to grant us a $1.7 million to replace it. Of course, what they're looking for in the grant is something I know is a touchy subject, is they want to go to an ammonia system. I know a lot of people are afraid of the ammonia system, but it's actually the safest and the most environmentally friendly system that's out there. And it would avoid those chillers that we have on top of the pop.
Okay.
So I can appreciate your kindness, Paul. I was more going to the point of how we were managing the facility more than anything. That was really what I was getting at. I think we've talked about, are we managing so that our facilities have the tools so they can succeed? And when I hear about these different things that come up, those are the questions that I ask. And I wonder how much effort was put in to get them squared away so that they would have those tools, that these discussions would have happened, war gamed, and our people would have been prepared to know what's going on and how to act when that comes up. And that's a management thing to me.
Can I respond to that for you, John?
Sure.
So regarding the wet tech system, this past summer, prior to us reopening this year, I sat down with a guy named Harlan from the company and had a 2-hour conversation, because I was trying to find out myself how this system runs, how this system operates. Is it worth having this system? And the only other option would be putting chemicals in, and then those chemicals end up in the pond. Obviously, for environmental purposes, we don't want to put chemicals in wherever we don't have to put chemicals in. The Zamboni, we were trying to get one more year out of it. It almost made it. it got to February, and it just blew an engine. Now the question is, and I have asked Tom from Precision, is it worth us replacing the engine? I was given a figure, rumor-wise, of $10,000. Well, if we're going to pay $14,000 to rent one, is it worth paying the $10,000, putting a new engine in, having it, and then having it as a backup if for some ungodly reason the new one has a problem, then we have a backup. I have not gotten a response from Tom from Precision on that to see if it's cost effective to even pay for a new engine on that, on the Zamboni that's sitting up in the maintenance building. Condenser tubes, we have known for at least the time I've been here that it's an issue, that the water sediment keeps clogging the tubes. I will admit I tried a procedure that a couple of the rinks had suggested. It was a chemical that's non-toxic that you put in and it cleans them. We put it in August. It seemed to work great until probably sometime in December, January. I wasn't here, so I don't know exactly the date where they started getting clogged again. And that's when the decision was made that we need to spend the money on replacing them and then coming up with a solution on how to filter the water so that we don't have this much sediment going into the condenser tubes.
Thank you for that. I can absolutely appreciate your efforts. They've been monumental. I've said before, we're extremely lucky to have you here and for your knowledge, your follow-through, and your efforts. Where I'm going is actually higher in the chain, and it's who you can communicate with that is sitting next to me, how they're preparing you for that success going down the road. That's where I'm going.
Linda?
Yeah, I have Victor Druins here, and he has the material that, and all the things that they had done before this building was renovated, and there was some question about whether anybody had paid any attention to the well, and I'm wondering whether the board's okay with Victor coming up and giving you some material and addressing that issue.
He can, sure. I read his report.
He's got other stuff.
Yep.
Hi, Victor.
Hi, thank you.
I have that. You sent this today.
There's more.
There's more.
And we get a free clip.
We get a free. Thank you. Victor, I have this document on my dining room table. Yeah. It's my favorite.
So, Victor Druin, yeah, so my concern is, obviously, as one of the primary users of the POP, we see a ton of comments, and mostly, it's not favorable. It's not favorable to the staff. It's not favorable to the town. It has a bad look. And so my goal is some of this stuff I put together just to kind of give everybody a baseline. Like, this document was done in 2022, January. It was submitted to the town. It went to the budget committee. It went, the planning board, conservation committee, the energy committee, parks and rec. This was developed with a lot of input from a lot of people, Back Bay, the users. Sorry, is that better? Thanks, Brian. We should put you in the middle so I don't have to look over there.
No.
Okay, so anyway, in this document, essentially we have the history, the rink operations, the rink maintenance, the major maintenance items that went on for years. And for anyone that wanted to grab a copy and look at it, I've put 10 sets over there. The concept for what we wanted the rink to be when it was renovated, the building assessment of the existing conditions, what was failing at the time, looking forward at the financial projections and looking backwards at how the rink had operated for the previous 6 years from 2015 to 2020. All these documents, and then when we took all that, we went out and we found consultants to pull this together So we traveled to 5 different rinks in the state that had just been redone, either renovated or brand-new rinks. We did a full building assessment. We brought in Coniston at the time, who had just done the New Hampton rink, and they had also done some work at the Laconia and the Waterville Valley rink. They'd done renovations there. So we did structural assessments, electrical assessments, well assessments, septic assessment, chiller assessments. All that stuff was done at the time prior to us putting things together. When that was all done, we hired Banwell Associates to do a final drawing to hire all the structural engineers, the folks that did Charlie Buckley did all the mechanicals. We had well people, but structural people that came in and did all the design for the new facility. After that finally went through three rounds with the budget committee in town and other things, we went to the planning board, we came back here, and this board back then, 2022, had agreed to get this funded, put it on the warrant, and there'd be a split for a $6.9 million building, 4.2 by the town, 2.7 by the Friends. So that was the deal. So a couple of misconceptions. One, I've heard, you hear this building took too long, it was shut down too long. The rink actually was shut down for a total of 3 months. It took us 9 months. We started April 1st. We reopened on January 3rd of 2023. So it was a total of a 9-month window to construct that, which is pretty impressive for a 40,000 square foot building to take it down to ground and do that sort of a total replacement. The next thing in your package is the project for the selectmen, the project meeting notes, and I just pulled this one out. This just happened to be one. It was kind of relevant. I was looking for some information, but this is Coniston CCI Project 61, and this is -21. So this is week 21 of the meeting, and we have everyone that was in attendance at that meeting, what the date. And I can tell you that there were, I think, 31 total meetings. I think Jim and I attended personally every one. Jim missed 2, and I think I missed 2 out of the 31 total of those meetings. And every week, the first page is all the critical path. What's happening now? What do we have to do now? And it looks out at the next 60 days to make sure that everyone knows, hey, this needs to be ordered, that needs to be ordered to keep this thing ready to be open. The next sets of notes are just all the details down to, Bo ordering the signage for the doors and the placards and the size and the font and the color, what the colors are going to be. But that's how granular the notes on this are, whether it's mechanicals. And this particular one I was looking for on the second page is talking about the well. So we drilled this well.
What page is that?
So we're looking at, on this, John, it's page 3.
8-2?
Page 3, about 3/4 of the way down. So we drilled that well. It's 800 feet deep, and when we got done, we were only making 1.5 gallons a minute, which is not enough to operate the rink. So we paid to have it fracked and get it up to 5 gallons, which is really kind of the minimum on that well. And so just to understand, when the old pop, there was one well there, and the old well fed Abenaki and the pop. So that's how it was working, and that well was also, the water quality at the new well is much better quality than the other one. We had some orange sediment, which always made the ice look orangey inside, but anyway, that was kind of the difference. So we basically said, look, we need to separate these two. Now, just so everyone knows, because we had a low producing well at the time, the old line for the pop is still there. It's stubbed in and capped. So we actually have 2 water feeds. So just going forward, given that last year was a drought and we had issues, we may want to consider, we have 2 options. One is to reopen that just for Zamboni use only and put in a filtration system that Brian's talking about. That's an option. Or the other option is, when we first opened the rink, because it was a low producer, Guilford Well had loaned us a storage tank. I think it was a 1,000-gallon storage tank. And then, but they needed it back. And because we were in a default budget, we didn't have the money. So the default budget caused the rink to give that back and not replace it. So had we had the $5,000, I think it was $5,000, I think, to buy that back 2 years ago. That was the recommendation. I think Christine came and said, I'd like to buy one. Sorry, we're in default. We don't have the $5,000. So basically, we didn't do it, and we had 2 good years of enough water, and life was good. But this year, we got bitten for certain. So my recommendation is, let's find a way to get $5,000 and get the holding tank in, or I think a water system would be more expensive. Anyway, that's just
to
the
that,
well, but
so I hate to interrupt. So to that point, when we had the motors break down, and we had the $90,000 for the motors, $47,000 for the chiller.
yes,
Where did that money come from, Jim?
From the Pop Whalen Fund, and I think you'll see that it resulted in an over expenditure.
So when Victor talks about the tank that we needed, we couldn't have gotten into that fund?
Well, I guess we could have, if you recall, before we expended the funds for the motor repairs, we came to the board and advised you that we were going to have to overexpend the budget to rebuild the motors. Brian and I had a conversation this year, and the conversation was, let's see if we can do it. We think we can, and unfortunately that has not worked out for us.
Okay, I just am touching base on that just because I'm listening to these people saying that was a critical part of our infrastructure, and we unfortunately lost it, but we didn't replace it. So
well,
that's
no,
the only reason I'm
I think
asking
we're talking
about it.
about 2 different issues. So the chillers have a separate issue, but so we're talking about the well as one issue.
Yeah, I'm talking about the tank.
So the well here, so I think for the water storage, we probably should come up with the money for the water storage. That is not a chiller issue.
No, that's a storage, that's right. I'm just talking about the money.
Really, I'm only talking about this water storage for Zambonis, because every time when you have a Brewster game, a high school game, they're filling it every 30 minutes, and it's 200 gallons, and at 5 gallons a minute, that well is not really keeping up. It's right on the fringe. So when you're doing regular games every hour and a half making ice, you're okay. But when you have a high school game and you're doing it every 30, 35 minutes, we are pushing that well. So that's why we need the storage.
So when the locker rooms are full of kids and they may be taking showers, does that tax the system also?
No,
No?
that's fine, because we have the big hot water storage tank. We have that hot water storage is a monster that's in there. So you do already have some storage to create pressure for your showers and that sort of thing. So that isn't the problem. The problem is when we have it's either 1.25 inches or 1.5 inch line for that Zamboni fill to get the volume so that they can fill it fast. And I think it's sucking faster than it's producing, and then it causes silt, and then you get weird colors in the water and stuff. So if you have storage, you can put it on a slow rate. You're not tapping the well, you're not making it, you're not stressing the well. And we're stressing the well right now because we don't have that one holding tank. So the chiller issue, so the other issue, when we did the budget, we did put in, when we built this, we had those chillers. So we'll talk about the chillers. The entire plant was assessed, and we basically said, look, these chiller systems are 40-year plants. That's what they are. This one is 20 years old. You have 20 years of life, but you do need to do some work on it. So we spent $175,000 to redo those, and they felt that everything should be good. We ran it, and then we started to have issues, which is the chiller tubes, right? So that was something that was never replaced, and probably had they done a deeper dive, typically, what Brian had said is they're supposed to be we're supposed to run chemicals through them once a year. You're supposed to run a solvent. They're almost like it's, for lack of a better term, they're like a catalytic converter, and they're plugged, which is causing the head, high pressure in the heads, which is causing the motors to run hot, which is causing Jim to write a check for $47,000 to replace those. So we really need this year to come up. I'm imploring people out there that are listening to vote to make sure this budget passes, because the money for that is in this budget. So it's very important that, we can complain on Facebook and every other place that people don't maintain things, but if we don't fund it, it makes it hard to maintain things. So
to that point, so how come we didn't start off with brand new when we started?
So when we did the pricing for this because they told us it was a 20-year plan, we had 20 years left. Our options were, and we had $175,000 to replace the chilling tower and to get those up to snuff. And so they said, we were told, and we have, I'm trying to get the document today, which I was hoping to attach. But in 2022, the price of those chillers was $750,000. I came back in and we talked to Jim, we talked to Nancy Hirschberg and Eli at the Conservation Committee, and we basically said, look, all right, this is a big number, right? Do we just add $750 to this budget and do it? And the contractor told us flat out, he's like, look, these new units are not more efficient, and we gave the cut sheets, we gave all this stuff to the Energy Committee, and there was no return on investment. It would have been, the contractor said, you can pay me the extra $750, but you're not going to see a benefit. There is no benefit to spend this money. And so we basically just said, look, let's just go with the 175 and we'll deal with this in 20 years. Now we've spent another $100,000 in repairs. Now we spend another $50 to do these 2 chiller tubes. And if this chiller tube is the real issue, then the compressor should no longer be an issue. So I think we're going to know pretty darn quick when we get those done.
Dave?
Now, to take this one step further, I didn't know about the grant that Brian is talking about just a few minutes ago, but we also Friends of Pop, have a meeting. We had a meeting scheduled for last week that got rescheduled with BEA regarding some other grants, but our goal is to help make sure that we help start facilitating, because we know that that's in the radar, right? It may not be next year, it may be 5-6 years from now, but we need to start getting ahead of this and not be behind it, right? Because if we do have a plant failure, it's going to be an expensive, and we will be shut down for a long period. I think the order time on these is 12 plus months, right, Brian? Yeah. So anyway, again, and there's other stuff that gets posted online that's just, Friends of Pop Whalen hasn't repaid the town $2.7 million, so there's a document in there with the payment schedule, but we've contributed over $2.8 million to the project. There was some preliminary money that we spent, and by the time we finish with the Zamboni, we're going to be up over $3 million that we've put into the town. So, for that, I just want to dispel some of this stuff, because it's just not, it's just not correct, and it's not. It's harder to put out these fires once they get spreading around, and again, for me, I think this budget's important. We've been riding on the 2023 budget for 3 years, and I think if people read the business plan and go through it, you'll find that the goals and objectives were met. I mean, we've hit the budget targets, the advertising targets, the other thing that it's going to make to keep this building successful. But, there was a ton of work that went into this. I don't think, we certainly didn't try to hide or misplace or bury anything. It's, there's a ton of detail. Like I said, down to the lettering of the placards on the door. So But I'm always here for questions, and if I can be of more help, let me know.
Okay.
Good?
Mr. Druin probably, whoop, there you go. He probably won't remember this. I was watching the movie, this project. I wasn't with the board at the time. And the reason I have this on my dining room table is it got passed out. I think it got passed out at the deliberative session or just beforehand. And to answer your question, John, there was a conversation in front of the public on exactly the question you asked. Why don't we just wipe the slate clean? Let's just get a new chiller. Let's get a new Zamboni. And it was at the time as I was doing it, that would have been about another 14% on the price tag of the facility. And I was saying 14%, not bad. But there was a chat, around this whole activity that said, and it was a management decision, whether it was the right decision or not, who knows, who cares? It was a management decision that said, we can hang in there with the Zamboni and with the chiller. I don't think there was a conversation deeply about the well situation, which now we know about. So I'm okay with that. It didn't turn out to be the way we wanted it to turn out to be. However, the question about the operations of the facility, I've never, I don't have a question about are we operating the facility correctly. Can we do better? Yes. But that's what, and we learned 2 weeks ago when Mr. Randall was here. After the Mr. Randall meeting, we had people, saying, wow, I didn't know how good this is. And we need more visibility with, maybe not with you, Victor, but with these other characters who, run this place. So the management question, I'm not as troubled about it because I do know that the team has been teeing up, hey, we need to spend, we need, and whether it ever got to us, because Jim kiboshed it or we kiboshed it, that's something we need to do to ourselves. We need to figure out whether we want to make, the continuing investments on this $4.9 million, but really it was a $7.5 million gig that, these guys did. So I appreciate your comment about management. The way I think we will learn more, if that's what we want to be about, is have more frequent, and we don't want to drag this guy in here to tell us new and improved stuff, just how is it running? And Victor, thank you for doing it. Just how are we doing?
Dave?
And get in front of these things. Thank you.
Brian?
So what I see is a management team, including Victor and our town manager, that had the proper intent. They had the proper care. They took the proper direction. They dotted I's, crossed T's. We have a facility that has many, many moving parts. They did it on budget. They did it responsibly. They did it listening to what the community wanted them to do with the facility. There is no malfeasance. There's no ineptitude here. This has all been done above board and correctly. And if someone wants to point a finger at somebody because a unit that's 20 years old is having a hiccup, then they can do that if they want, but it's misguided and it's a misrepresentation.
Yeah. And, I
Yeah,
think
and that's why I wanted Victor here, is to get that whole story out, because the amount of time and above board in all the different places this went through. And even before we went and started the project, we sent a warrant article out to the voters and asked them whether they were willing to have some of the cost of the bond on the tax rate, and it was in the 70%, said yes. So this was a out in the open project that had many hearings on, and I think they did an excellent job.
Dave?
Yeah. And I think, regarding the chillers, so now we are, first of all, there's really 2 chiller contractors that do ice facilities in New England, right? Massachusetts and New Hampshire area, Vermont. And that's Reliable and American Refrigeration. American did the first round. The rink switched over. They felt more comfortable with American. They didn't think they were getting the service. So we've had both of those mechanics in here, and I think we're every time we should have replaced this, we should have replaced that. I think, I'm not a chiller repair guy. Jim's not, Brian's not a chiller repair guy, but, we relied on those two companies to tell us what we needed to do, and I'm not pushing the blame to them, because I don't think they foresaw it either, because it would have been a lot easier to have, for their reputation and stuff, it would have certainly been easier to, spend an extra $50,000 or $100,000 4 years ago. But anyway, that's
Paul?
all good.
And now that I said the good things about you, it's not you. I've never had a criticism, for the record, I've never had a criticism of how much money you guys put into this, how hard you've worked for it. I wish we had other people who could do this for us. My only criticism, and it continues to be, and it's a professional criticism, not a personal criticism, is I think the business plan projections that we signed up for were a canard. I just think they were well-intentioned. But saying that we were going to generate $110,775 in year one of operation was optimistic. How's that? Was that a good way to say it? It's optimistic. Now, having parked that one, thank you for coming tonight. I just think we turn our attention to where do we go from here.
Just one quick note on the compressors. American Refrigeration, who did replace the compressors this past summer, there was something that did come up in one of the compressors. It did fail. They replaced it at no cost to us, which would have cost the town another $58,000. They did it at no cost under warranty, which they promised us that the warranty would last. Even they would suspend the time frame during our off months. So when we close down for ice, they will stop that time frame and restart it back up again when we put ice back in. So they've been very on top of their promises of helping us out and making sure that things are running the way they're supposed to run.
All right, does anybody have any more questions for Brian on the February report? If not, Brian, you're up next about
You're up
the
next.
season opening.
Season opening? Are we doing,
No, they're not doing that.
Brian, you do what you want to do next.
Did you take it off the table? Season opening?
No.
Not that I'm aware of. August opening?
that's fine with me.
26, 27 season opening.
Yep, that's fine.
That's next on the agenda.
So last year, counting in the electricity and propane for the month of August and September, because we always opened in October, we showed a profit of over $9,000, which is over almost $12,000 more than we made in 2024 when we had no opening, and we actually lost almost $1,500 in expenses. The only thing I did not include in there, just because it's a little misleading, is the salaries, because for 2 months in 2024, in that August time frame, there was nobody in my position, so there was no salaries that were recorded, which if the salary was there, it would have evened itself out. So that's why I did not include that on the paperwork I submitted to you folks.
I have a question.
In the earlier that I can get approval from the board to open up in August, Back Bay has already committed to their Thunderbird camp. Back Bay is also committed to starting their practices. I know the men's league would like to start early. Definitely stick time is a huge popular item during the August-September time frame. Public wasn't so great, I'll be honest. People just aren't thinking of public skating in the summertime. But but I can start working on getting other things in there, which last year it was just so late. By the time we made a decision about opening early, that it caused me issues of trying to get extra things in there. But even with that, like I said, we still had a $9,000 positive on that.
How about a summer curling league?
I heard the fire department signing up for it. That's a different issue. I have a
So
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Linda, did you have?
Yeah, I was just, I thought that we were concerned about waiting until after the budget passed before we okay this, just so we know where we are. Other than that, I would like to see us move forward, but I think it would make sense. This is another area where we're kind of hanging on whether we get a default budget or not.
Dave?
Paul?
So I have your squint chart, and I appreciate that. So you said you made 9 net in the month of September.
August and September combined.
August, September, all right. And I'm not, if I quickly looked at things, if you do nothing, just nothing, and you don't generate a nickel of revenue, your burn rate is how much per month, roughly speaking?
I think I had figured it out to somewhere close to $4,000 a month.
If you do nothing, you just burn $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay? So the challenge is, can you put revenue on top of that? If I read this correctly, one of the reasons that you did show a little positive operating result, it was because of the 25 grand you were getting coming in from the town for ice rental.
That was not included in that 9,000.
It wasn't? Okay,
No.
well, that's even better. So this, to Linda's point, if I look at this tells me that if you're burning $4,000 a month and with a modest amount of revenue, that we'll get the fire department to join the curling squad, with a modest amount of revenue, it kind of makes sense to open earlier. My question would be, why would somebody think that's a bad idea? Because I don't know the answer to that.
The only pushback that I've been getting is personnel per
Head count.
head count because of the maintenance, park and rec maintenance, who kind of maintain the rink, are still out doing beaches and fall cleanup and stuff like that. So that's why we'd almost need to hire just one part-time person to operate. The other thing is that I did last year and considered this year also is making sure that all of our ice rentals are in the regular working hours. So if someone had to come over for 10 minutes and make a sheet of ice, they can come over for 10 minutes and make a sheet of ice and not have to worry about, having them work on weekends in the summertime and stuff like that they were doing all winter long. That was the only pushback that I've been getting so far, is trying to get, if we have enough personnel to make it happen.
So if Christine were here, would her answer be, we'll find a way to get him the resources he needs, or would she say, hell no, we shouldn't do this? That's a speculative question, and if you can't answer it, don't answer it. And I'm leading the witness, Brian, cut it out. I mean, is Christine
I know she has concerns.
She does, okay.
About the personnel.
The personnel
issue of it. And her other concern, which I'll be honest, we had the best ice we ever had was in August and September and October, her concern was, is the compressors up to...
The well was fresh in the ice.
And of course, the first week we opened last August, it was 96 degrees out. It was the warmest week we had, and we had ice.
John?
So that's where I'm headed. So when I was up there, you had just gotten the ice in. You said that you had to go get ice so that you could put it in the holding tank, because you had to cool the water down before it was going in, because you couldn't keep it cold enough for the chillers. Do you think that added any stress to your system?
No, what we found out the problem is there was a circulation problem up in the chillers, so it wasn't air cooling it like it's supposed to. We had to diagnose that. It took us few weeks to figure out what the issue is we still have that problem even today, where the problem is the ice is building up on the top of the chillers. It's not letting the air to cool the water. We had at one point in time, just today, we had the water temperature was up to 82 degrees. It should be running somewhere between 62 and 74 is ultimate. So we know that there was some airflow problems that we had to take care of.
So what happens when that occurs?
Well, now that we've got it fixed, it shouldn't have that problem. Right now with the icing, because of the cold weather outside, both Scott and Wes go up there and they chop ice off of it every day to make sure that the air cooling of the towers operate properly.
Is that customary?
It is not customary, but it's the type of chillers we have, the type of condensers, chillers that we have, that it needs to operate that way.
So opening in August next year, you don't have any problems at all?
I'm not foreseeing any problems. Like I said, the only thing
Just
that
Christine's concerns.
the concerns with the personnel.
Paul?
My sense is, it sounds plausible. It sounds like you got a good theory. The numbers make sense. The details lie between yourself, Christine, and the town manager. And I'm not going to overrule anybody here. I don't run day-to-day operations. You guys figure it out, but it sounds plausible. That's my 2 cents on that.
And just so you know, what I also did put in, if we do have to still rent the Zamboni, I'm still looking at a $3,000 positive for the month of August and September for this coming season, this coming year, and that's without even adding any extra ice sales than what has already been committed to us.
So do you have potential business lined up?
The Thunderbird Camp, which is run by Back Bay is also committed to having their practices start in August. In mid-September, Brewster usually starts up with their teams, usually use 3 to 4 hours a week, as well as the men's league on Sunday nights have committed. So, and then our public stick time, which was very popular in August and September, and as we had lots and lots of kids there, as well as on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays we do an 18 plus, and those guys are always excited. We're up to about 30 guys showing up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now.
And I shouldn't speak for Linda and tell me if I'm doing this, but I think Linda makes a very good point, and that is, this all makes sense to us. You, Christine, and Jim need to sort out the details. But the one thing that we're still just kind of biting our nails on is, will Article 2 pass?
Right.
It's all predicated on, premised on Article 2.
And if it doesn't pass, then we'd have to go through and see if there was going to be money. That's what we did last time.
Yeah,
So that's why it got held up last time, because we had to go through that process.
Then we're going to have to go rattle the couch cushions.
Next.
Okay. You're up next.
I am.
Again,
The Brian Show.
What are we doing this time?
sampling alcohol.
Okay.
We like that.
So on April 12th, we're hosting the Lakes Region Wedding Expo. It's the first annual here in Wolfeboro. It's the only spring Lakes Region Wedding Expo. And part of their procedure is they always give samples of champagne to brides-to-be and mothers of brides-to-be. And we're just asking for your guys' blessing to allow them to do that. They're not selling alcohol. It's just literally a sample.
All right, any questions? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we grant permission for the Wedding Expo on April 12th, 2026, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. to serve alcohol to the bride-to-be and mother of the bride. Champagne, I guess it is.
Champagne.
Just champagne.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No kids in the place, right?
No kids.
No kids. Okay, good.
All right. Pop Whalen Operations Report, year-end 2025.
Well, I want to start off with the year-end. I want to thank Christine and everybody at Parks and Rec for filling in for when my absence. They did a great job in getting the place, kept it rolling while I was laid up in the hospital. With that being said, revenue-wise, we did great at 104% over 4% over budget. We knew that there was going to be a deficit on the expenses mostly because of the compressors. So we did we did pretty well. We also had, just so everyone is aware, whoops, what did I do with it? Over 3,100 public skaters last year and over 2,400 public stick time participants last year.
Great. It's fantastic.
Any questions for Brian?
I was, and this is just a nitty question, but since curling, took a pretty prominent thing during the Olympics, what's the curling thing we do here, and is it growing? Is it just for one or two people?
So curling seems to be growing in popularity. They had learned to curl as part of Winter Carnival. Mm-hmm. They had filled it up before we even put it out there for advertisement. They had over 48 people come for Learn to Curl this past week. And they use 5 lanes of curling per week for 3 hours a week. They did a beginners Learn to Curl at the beginning of September last year. That was very popular. We're in the middle of talking to them about reducing that down to 4 lanes and maybe extend their time frame. They were going to have a meeting themselves about that information, because 5 lanes are just very hard to maintain, and we're one of the only rinks in the entire Northeast that does 5 lanes in a rink. Even Plymouth, which has a huge curling facility, only does 4 lanes, and so we're talking to them about that.
Dave, one last question.
Go ahead.
And you may or may, I don't know whether you know it or not. Are these numbers, these data here in the squint chart, these are the numbers that we would see on the audit, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so these numbers, the debt service is the 13%?
Yes.
Okay, got it, thank you. Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian, thank you.
Okay, next we have review of amendments made to dock and wharves ordinance.
Because I'd like to make a motion to table this relative to my 91A request, and I would possibly go to continuing on the 12th day if we have the meeting with the the police commission that day.
So we have you have a...
He's made a motion to table it. Is there a second?
Can I learn more about why you want to table it, John?
Because I have something to discuss in non-public about our docks and wharfs ordinance. That's relative to legal. Did you get a document in the mail?
We got documents from
From whom?
the Mount Washington.
From whom?
From the Mount Washington.
I did.
Yeah, I think we all got that.
And that's a public document.
It's a public document.
Public document.
So
It's a public document.
Yep.
It was, I believe, it was provided to Pat.
All right. I'm going to second John's motion for discussion.
Okay.
Is there any discussion?
Well, there are some legal aspects of that document that should be taken into consideration and discussed, in my opinion.
But it's a public document, so it shouldn't go into non-public.
Well,
Not correct.
Well,
I don't know what the right procedure is here, but it is a public document. We believe there's some information that was provided by the Mount Washington folks.
I believe there's some legalities there that I'd like to discuss with Nathan and relative to that document. And I think it's pertinent, part of the Docks and Wharfs discussion.
all right, we haven't, I'll just add this, we haven't had any public hearings yet. So this document has not been accepted. So it might make sense to wait till we hear what John has to say and what we might get from Nathan.
Oh.
Linda?
Yeah, I mean, this document itself still has errors in it.
Yep.
So what we're saying is if we don't do this, we're going to move it to another time, and then we're going to then public hearing. We're going to get this so far down the line that those businesses are going to have a hard time. So my question is, do we just table it, just leave it alone and start up again in August, let this season go as is?
No, I'm not for that. Again, there are other issues that need to be resolved. I don't think that moving it till next week on the 12th is a stretch.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
So, Linda, let me
I
understand.
don't know what to do here.
Let me understand what you're saying, Linda. You want to use our old ordinance for this year?
Yeah, I'm saying this.
Because this ordinance is half-baked and not ready.
I think there's still, we got major things in here yet. That's where my problem is. We didn't get to where we needed to get to.
Okay.
And businesses are trying to decide on what they're going to do.
Well,
And so
I'm sorry.
So in order to, be fair to everybody, that we let this season go and then start, working on it in the middle of the summer and try to get it up, do better than we did this year. And that's what I'm thinking
I
about.
don't think it's ready, personally. I
Right.
agree with you.
Yeah,
So I think that by following along with John's thing to table, I think that's the right thing to do, and we'll pick it up at another time.
Can I weigh in?
Yep. So
So there's two parts to this conversation, and I'm not your legal stuff, all right? But there's two parts to this ordinance that we've spent a fair amount of time on. I think we've made progress on the non-monetary stuff. How many vessels, price per, not prices, but what constitutes a vessel. I think we made progress on the non-monetary stuff, and I would not want to lose that.
I'm not saying throw the document out.
No.
I think on the monetary stuff, the numbers, I think we're not even close. And I think we need some professional help here, because what little research I have done, and I've done a little bit, at a minimum, we're supposed to be able to cover the tax impact of leasing our properties. All right, at a minimum.
Excuse me, what did you say there, Paul?
At a minimum,
I didn't hear
we're
that.
supposed to cover the tax impact of leasing properties. At a minimum. At a minimum, we're supposed to understand our costs and be able to either, price our assets at cost plus recovery or some comparables. I don't think we got there yet. I think we're whizzle-wigging around on that. That's a term that says we ain't clear. So if you're, and I honestly don't know how to react to your motion, John. My sense is that we've done the non-monetary stuff, thrashed on that. I'd like to move that forward towards a public hearing. I don't think we're anywhere near the monetary stuff. So I don't know how to respond to your motion.
So if you don't want the motion to pass, we'll continue with the meeting right now. Because I have other information that I'd like to put forward, but I don't want to jeopardize that by talking about something that I don't think that I can talk about until I get some clarification. That's the problem. And
may I continue, Dave?
Wait a minute, wait a minute, let John finish.
no, he can go ahead.
Is your clarification, John, that you believe you need counsel to clarify, or you want us to clarify?
No, I need counsel to clarify.
Okay, all right, okay.
I would like the packet of information that Jared supplied us put into the minutes for this meeting.
Well, I don't object to that. I think what I'm trying to find out from John, to keep this thing focused on the topic, is I'm hearing a colleague here saying, I think I got some legal questions that I want to table and discuss, and I want to do that in a non-public manner. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
But
I still want to move forward on the 12th at the next meeting so that we could finish this up.
And what you're further saying is you want to get those issues, topics, whatever they are, covered in non-public, get them to the lawyer, and get back for some clarity on the 12th?
Yes.
In public?
Yes.
That wasn't your whole motion, but, you know.
Well, I'm
just trying to.
again,
Okay.
the other thing is I would like, now that we've discussed a document that has come from Jared Maeo from the Mount Washington, I think we're doing a disservice to the public that's out there that they don't know what document we're talking about.
Well, it's a public document. We'll make it on the minutes.
So I want it on the minutes for this meeting, and I'd like to read a little bit of it right now for about 2 minutes.
Well, I don't think this is that pertinent to the motion that's on the floor.
I agree.
Okay.
Brian, I agree. I think what's pertinent right now is there's a motion made by a colleague where we may be going off in we can't go off in a different direction. We've got to stay to the motion. You want to call it that?
If somebody wants that information, they can get it from the town hall. Linda?
Oh, so I guess that's, if we say we don't want to table it, then will we talk about this piece of paper and stuff that we got from the Mount Washington? If we decide to table it, can Brian read it into the record later? Or are we saying there's no way Brian can read any parts of this?
Well, the problem is we just got it too, so.
I understand. I'm just trying to get how we're going to sequence, because we've had trouble with sequencing.
Yeah.
If we table now, we're tabling this, and we're not going to put any reference or do anything with the document from the Mount Washington, and that will not allow Brian to read any part of that.
And the document from the Mount Washington, didn't it come to us on Friday?
The what?
When did this document come to us, the one from the Mount Washington?
March 2026.
Yeah, it was
So
just
3
yesterday.
days. I can read a document in 3 days.
Hang on. So Linda, if I could, I have a different view. I think John's motion is I want to go into non-public and talk about legal stuff. Okay. The second, so I would, we should vote that. The second part has nothing to do with a public document. It has nothing to do with it. I mean,
That's what I'm getting clarity.
So, yeah, in my view, if somebody wants to read this thing into the public, that's great. John has some issues with what's in this document, but it's a public record. So I'd be supportive of reading it into the record if the board wants to do that.
Well,
So
have,
all we're doing is, what he's asking us to table is this
That's right.
document here.
This thing.
that's what my
That's it.
understanding is.
Okay, just
You're
want to
asking
make
us-
sure we got
No.
the process.
You're asking-
I'm asking you to allow us to table the discussion
Of the ordinance,
of the ordinance and the information in front of us right now,
What information?
the information that is in front of us.
Explain the information, please. What information?
Any documents that are in front of us right
So
now.
the information that came from Jared Maeo of the Mount Washington, you want us to not discuss that tonight, is that what you're saying?
I have legal concerns about that document, and whether or not it's public or not, I feel I should have the council give me some guidance on that.
I don't object, personally, I don't object to what you're saying. And I'm not trying to pepper you here, poke at you. I think what I hear you saying, Linda always tells me I shouldn't speak for. You want
Absolutely.
to table the ordinance conversation that we've been thrashing over for 14 and a half hours. You want to table that.
Until the 12th.
Okay, you want to table that. Mr. Duche appropriately is saying there's a piece of paper that we received from the Mount Washington, and that this document is a public record, and he wants to read it into the record. Whether you like it or not, it's a public document. Now, you may decide, as this is being read into the record, you will decide, I'm sure, you're not going to speak to, I can't say what you should do. You're not going to speak to it because you got some stuff in here that you think has legal issues. That's all.
I think I'm being implicated in that letter, and I don't think I can speak freely about the Docks and Wharfs ordinance.
Okay.
So we can table the ordinance, but I'm going to read this document tonight. At some point, I'm either going to read it under other business, or I'm going to read it whenever my chair allows me to. Not all of it. I'm not going to read the 45 pages. I'm going to take 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. That's why I haven't spoken a lot tonight, so I saved my time.
Linda?
Yeah, I'm comfortable if John has an issue and doesn't want to discuss this and he thinks it's illegal, I'm okay with tabling it.
Yep.
As long as this doesn't get tabled with it. If that's the case, then that's what I'm saying is
that's
this
my-
document,
John,
I can understand it.
referencing is the document we received.
I'll respect you and
Well,
let you have the
well,
opportunity.
well,
This other one is a public document.
So they're both public documents.
Yeah.
Yes, but you're asking us to table this one.
I'm
And I would-
asking you to table the discussion on moving forward and discussing both of the documents until the 12th. If that's the motion.
I
if you-
heard, well, that's what I was trying to get
That's the
clarity.
motion. That's the motion.
Okay,
If it
then that's
doesn't
something
pass, then that's fine. We'll talk about it. And I'm a select board member, so whatever I say is under the purview of the town. So
So call the
All of
question.
us.
call the motion, Dave.
Well, I don't know what I'm voting on. If I'm voting on just tabling this, I'll gladly support it. If I'm voting on a motion that says table these two things, I ain't voting for it.
He wants them both tabled.
You want them both tabled?
Yes.
You want the ordinance draft that we've been chewing on, plus the Mount Washington, you want us to not discuss these tonight until we go into non-public, is that right?
All the information about the docks and wharfs that we've gotten in front of us is what I'd like to table until I get some information.
Call the
All right.
question.
Everybody
Roll call.
understand?
Yep.
Roll call.
Brian?
No, I'm not going to table.
Paul?
No?
Linda?
No.
No.
Yes.
All right.
I'll make a motion. Would you like this tabled anyhow?
No, let's go.
Okay. You're okay, all right?
All right, let's go.
Okay, where do you want to start? Start on the first page?
Yes.
Linda?
Yeah, I have a question on commercial dock 1. It says up to 12 commercial vessel businesses. I wonder whether we need the business there or whether we're talking up to 12 commercial vehicles.
Vessels.
Vessels. and get rid of the word business.
So in this is a conversation because in the E360, it says vessels, and that was one of the things. So we had in the E360, it talks about whether or not a permit holder pays his bill the previous year. Obviously, so since there was a person who was permitted but had multiple vessels, I'm making the claim that this person used multiple vessels and the town did not get the revenue and the proper permit information from that person that had multiple vessels.
But this is defining what we're talking about, commercial dock 1. It's a definition, and I'm only asking whether the word business needs to go out or not. And it says commercial vessel businesses. And I just think in 12 commercial vessels with pickup and drop off. That, I'm only asking about one word, and whether the board, it just seems a little wordy to me, and so that's my question.
So can you point that out for a minute?
In the
Yeah,
definition,
it's first page.
36.4.
Under 36.4.
It should say vessels,
Correct. Vessels.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, and take out the word business, right?
please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Everybody happy with the rest of that page? Okay, page 2. We have, in the 36.5, we changed reserved for public drop-off. Under 36.5.
Yeah, 36, so I have some changes in 36.5.
Well, we had some others down lower as well.
What's your changes for 5?
So I start with I'll see, they're different in the code E360, that's the problem. In the code E360, there's a letter G, so right off we have a problem because our E360 is not the same as our ordinance that we're looking at. That's a problem. So if you go online and you look at the E360.
This hasn't gone on because it hasn't been approved.
Because what you're looking at online on E360, we've changed. That's the old ordinance. This is our adopted changes that have been tracked as we've been going along. So there's no way that the ordinance online is going to match with this because we've made changes to that ordinance online.
But it has a whole different structure to it.
Because we changed the whole structure to it. I can get my file out, what we had before didn't have definitions. I'll show you what we had before, and I think that's what you're getting.
This is the amended.
Yes, it's a very different structure, and I don't know if I brought it tonight, but yep, here's the old structure. And this may be what you're seeing. I've scribbled all over it, but it started like this. It's very different than what we have today. We turned it, you see there's no definitions in this one. We changed the lettering, it's all different.
Dave, when you have time, you have a minute.
That's what I think you're seeing out here.
Yeah, well, I don't have that document. That's the problem.
Okay. So to help here, I'm sorry, you had a question, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go first.
So on 36.4, the definition of town docks says located at Dockside, Libby Museum, Winter Harbor, Mass Landing, Crescent Lake, and Back Bay, adjacent to the railroad station. So it lists all our town dock areas. Then if you flip the page and you go to 3652, it says, vessel rental agents shall not rent or lease any watercraft to any persons from the town docks. Well, the town docks, as defined, include Back Bay, yet we rent from Back Bay, so I think we got an oopsie.
So do you have a proposed change?
I think that...
Good catch. What's your proposed change?
I think we got to think about how we want to rewrite number 2.
Okay, what would you like to do?
Ask Paul to give me some wording.
Okay, so there's a change needed to make sure there's consistency in that language, okay? All right. You don't have a change, we'll wait till you make something up later, and then we'll add it in. How's
Correct.
that?
Yeah, I can send in something to...
Okay, so let's just note that there's going to be a change.
This needs to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Change by Brian. Change.
Uh-oh, now I have to do stuff.
Now you have to do stuff, that's right.
I'll help you, Brian.
Change by Brian, help by Linda. Okay, all right. What else?
All right,
Are we going by pages or
yeah,
under?
let's go by page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else on page 2? We made the changes that are in red and marked in the margin. Page 3?
Hold on. Knock that.
I have a piece of pizza.
No, I've got more in here.
So dock G, 6, exception, that should be the handicap dock, and not a short-term passenger pickup or drop-off. Just for, it's a ADA docking. It's not pickup and drop-off, it's for docking. It's for handicap docking.
Well, yeah, and it says ADA access.
It says passenger pickup and drop-off and ADA access. So is it pickup and drop-off for passengers, or is it ADA access?
It's both.
It's both.
I thought we were allocating specifically, I remember Paul saying that that was specifically an ADA dock. Dock G.
I think we said and.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we said and, John.
But the pickup drop-off dock is dock F.
We have 2 spots. We went talking about this, you know.
So what happens when you have the ADA sign and somebody comes in and they're parked in the ADA spot? There's a fine that says if you're in that spot, you get a $250 fine.
But I guess the intention is that it's a pickup and drop-off. It's not going to be parked there and take up the ADA spot. If you want, we could say pick up and drop off for less than 5 minutes. Does that help you?
No, I think you said 20, but that's a different issue.
Yeah.
So, John, I had my fingers on this one. And if you think there's something that needs to change, change it. But
I don't think that there should be passenger pickup and drop off.
My point. I said, let's make that dock G for public drop off and pickup and ADA access. I never envisioned that we would run afoul of ADA rules. If you want to change it, feel free.
Well, it says,
Well, what it says, it doesn't say the whole dock anyway.
Dock G. One dock space on
One
dock G.
dock space.
One dock space on dock G.
Yeah.
So if I conflated that for you, John, change it, but that was, my hand was on that.
Linda?
Yeah, I think the reason we did it is we wanted to bring the ADA access by the ramp.
Closer to the ramp,
That's
yeah,
it.
and I'm good with that.
off of dock A.
But if we take the drop-off and pickup off of G, we're going to need to find another spot.
You said it was on,
talked about
you
two.
said it was on F.
You're not listening. We need 2.
We need to.
okay? This, if we take it and this just becomes ADA, I am suggesting that we find another drop-off and pickup on one of the other docks in order for us to get two.
Do what you like. I won't have the votes to overturn it, so.
What else?
Okay, page 3.
Yeah.
One,
Yeah, I have on number 10, it says, "No vehicle shall obstruct the navigation in Smith River. We have no jurisdiction over the water."
It says no vessel, right?
Vessel, yeah.
The vessel should be docked on the wall.
We don't have any, that's Marine Patrol. We don't have any,
Was the
and
intent?
if we did that saying as something in relationship to our dock,
Yeah. I think that was the intent, that they can't dock there in.
well, it says no vessel shall dock at the wall and the side of Smith River. I think was what?
So number 10, the way I've read that is coming out from underneath the bridge, no vessel can dock off that wall, period, end of message.
Well, that's down below.
Pardon?
Isn't that the line down below?
Which line down below? Time limits?
No vessel shall be docked on the wall on the easterly side of the Smith River extending from the
number are
bridge.
you at, Linda?
I'm at 10.
I'm on 10 as well.
And then I'm saying the next, it says obstructing navigation. No vessel shall obstruct navigating in the Smith River. And I'm saying that is not our authority, that is the authority of Marine Patrol.
So you want to just scratch out that middle piece?
That one line.
Yeah.
Because we don't have control.
So you
of
can,
it.
is it okay with obstructing navigation, no vessel?
Yes.
Okay.
Shall blah, yeah.
Oh, so you're saying just, I'm sorry, Linda. I
No
apologize.
shall, yeah.
No vessel shall obstruct navigation in the Smith River. Strike it.
Yes, because we don't have
No
a...
vessel can dock on the southwest easterly side of the Smith River extending from the
Yep,
bridge
yep,
on. Got
yep.
it. Thank you. Redundant.
Linda?
Yeah, I have then on 11, I think we haven't taken care of our time here.
Correct. We talked about this a couple of times.
Yes, I think it's 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., so
Yep.
that one needs to be at 12.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we said. We're like, what's going to
We
happen in
have.
that hour in between?
Yep, yes, we did. We haven't been at that a number of times.
Okay, move on to page 4.
Okay, I've one.
Go ahead.
3674, we did address this. It says both trailer parking at the Glendon Street parking lot is for 1 day, and the filter bed parking area shall not exceed 7. Is that what people agree? That's
Yeah,
what
so,
the minute said.
so we need to add in after the Glendon Street lot 1 day.
Yep.
And filter bed road parking area shall not exceed 7 days.
Yeah, and get rid of the question marks.
Correct.
I like the question marks.
And the Mysterians.
Okay, anything else on page 4? Page 5? We had a few changes here.
So this is for the public. We are, and this was decided last year, when we issue a permit for commercial operation for a barge or for a boat, we are asking for that the boat has the proper registration, numbering, operation requirements, and all the laws of the state of New Hampshire, which include that the person operating is a captain, that the vessel has commercial licensing, and all that is under this. I wanted to write them all in, and I remember that the board said, all we have to do is say New Hampshire laws and regulations, because that covers all of those other little pieces. So I just want the public to know that we put those in there, because it's been asked.
It has been asked. I think it's been commented that we need to make sure that they're certificated, both the vessel as well as the operator.
Yep.
And we make sure that that's written in the policy and covered when Amy gets the documents. Okay. And on the prices, I think it just continues to be debated.
So I have information on the prices.
So do I.
And let me get it clear. Are we on page 5 now?
Well, we're on the barge one, so.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I'm going to say it again. I am stepping down. My son runs a barge business. I will not take part in any of this discussion.
Okay, so I think one of the aspects here that is important is understanding what we're doing here initially. This is a workshop that we are discussing. Something is not legally binding. During a general workshop, nothing is unconstitutional, rather a standard part of an administrative or first review process. Legal issues only arise if this action violates open meeting laws, and we're not. Open meeting law, if the workshop is a public body, it must comply with open meeting laws, RSA 91-A in New Hampshire, which it is. The right to speak in regular public meeting, there is no right to speak in this because in regular public meeting, the public has a right to listen, but no legal right to speak. A right to be heard only exists during a formal public hearing, and we are not creating a formal public hearing because we are still in a workshop form. In New Hampshire, the selectmen select boards to discuss proposed amendments to ordinances in public meetings or enact specific regulation or directly arise primarily from RSA. Towns generally have the authority to impose reasonable fees for the use of municipal, public, or town-owned boat docks for commercial purposes, often structured as commercial landing permits, as per passenger fee, similar to fee used for commercial vessel landing permits, is typically legal if applied uniformly to businesses using public infrastructure. This is where we need to adjust because we aren't being uniform in our process. So if we do a fee structure that is one way, we need to be consistent the whole way. So what I'm trying to understand here is if we do a flat fee for the barge area, and we do a flat fee for the commercial vessels, the small vessels, to pick up at Dock 1, we need to be consistent all the way across the board. So right now, currently, we have a % for foot. Just as an example, if you used a commercial Dock 1 and somebody comes with a 23-foot boat, we would charge 4 cents per foot, which would be 92 cents per landing. If you came with a Mount Washington, you would have a 4 cents per foot, and you would have, that cost would be $9.20 to dock that boat. So what we have to do is we have to go forward here and be consistent with all of our fees because we can't do one or the other. We have to be consistent. So that's the flow chart that I have, and I was trying to go through the lengths that we have for different vessels that everybody would have an understanding of being consistent. So the Blue Ghost, it's 33 feet long. The Winnie Spirit, it's 56 feet long. Typical barges range from 50 to 60 feet long. The Dive, it's 62 feet long. The MS Mount Washington, it's 230 feet long. So my proposal is that we create since we've already created what I call classes, the 0 to 35 at Commercial Dock 1 would be $3,000, which we have. The Class B, which would be the barge at Commercial Dock 3 or the Libby Dock, because basically we don't know what size boats will be applying for our commercial vessel permits going forward. So right now, we know that the barges are paying a flat rate fee or proposed at $5,000. I'll talk a little bit more about the next size classes up. So we go from 0 to 35 at $3,000, greater than 35 to 60. Here you go, Linda, you can have this for you. You can have those. Yep, go ahead, yep. And then greater than 60 feet to 100 feet would be a fee, and greater than 100 feet would be a fee. And then a yearly increase would be associated at 5% the first year on the $3,000. You'd be increasing next year to another $150. On Class B, you would be increasing $250. And Class C, you would increase $375. And Class D, you would increase $500. Those would stay stable for 9 years until you jump into the next class of cost. So with that said, I've drafted this flow chart so that we can be consistent, and these are for-profit vessels. And these all have supporting information on the lengths that I have in my hand and the fee structure in my other hand. Most vessels, they actually charge by the foot. Let's just say a 230-foot boat generally ranges from $8 to $15 per foot per day. Typical cost $1,800 to $3,500 a day. Other vessels, so that these are in different places. So that was.
Can you tell us what location and where you got the numbers of $1,800 a day to have a boat?
This was what is a fair price to dock a 230-foot boat daily. This one is Portland docking fees, commercial cruise boats. And this one says $3.50 per foot per day. So
what's the difference between docking and dropping for 10 minutes and leaving?
That's what these are called, touch and goes. That's what these are called.
Touch and goes.
Touch and go, yep. Yep, you're right. So other ones would say commercial large vessel dockage from $150 to $200 per foot per season. That's a straight up. Another one here goes minimum annual fee for fees could be calculated at $14 per passenger per tender, regardless of whether they disembark, or an annual minimum payment of $69,000 in 2025 to $85,000 in 2026. And that was in Bar Harbor, Maine.
So these are ocean vessels?
So there are no other examples like this boat, and that's why I had to go to the nearest place where these types of vessels were sized up.
Lake Sunapee has 2 and Lake George has 3.
Well, I didn't go to Lake George. I'm sorry, I didn't. I apologize for not finding those. Yeah. So I went to Sebago Lake, and theirs basically says $100 per foot per month. So that's how I got my flow chart.
So
obviously,
a question: the $100 per foot per month, is that for docking? Or where is it?
These are touch and goes. These are docking for the day or docking to start and go. And that's why I think the flow chart works good, because it doesn't matter how many times you come into the dock per day. If it streamlines everything and just says if you come into a dock once or 3 times during the day, you still pay the same flat rate for the season. And it's consistent across the board. And because what we've done is we've already started that with Class A and Class B with the commercial dock 1 and the barge dock. So we've already kind of agreed on those fees, to tell you the truth. What we haven't agreed on is the second or the third Class C and Class D, which would basically be greater than 60 feet to 100 feet or greater than 100 feet. Because really, when it comes down to it, we really don't know, again, who's going to be applying for these things. Somebody could come next year and say, I have a boat like the Dive that's 65 feet and we want to dock up. And we would have to be able to say, okay, this is the way. But the way we're doing it right now, when we say 4 cents per foot on a 23-foot boat is only 92 cents per landing, that seems like that's a deal.
It's a good deal.
And if we say, and if we,
Not for the taxpayer.
that's right. So basically, the next aspect here is what are other areas around the lake charging? And I did some research into that also. Basically, you come back down to the weirs. Bless you, Jim.
Thank you.
The weirs. Council, no private charters at the weirs public docks. They basically they tried to get the people to buy into it, and they started off with a proposal to charge $50 and $100, and people didn't like it. So that's, and then over the course of the meetings, one concern came up, and then another concern came up, and we thought they had a resolution, and the committee's determination that use of the docks would stay private. So the other aspect of the weirs is they had a conversation with somebody that was on the Mount Washington Ward 5 councilor, Steve Bogart. Says he asked a question to somebody that was coming off of the Mount Washington, because it was mentioned that before had talked to somebody on the MS Mount Washington who usually said to me, you can count on one hand the number of people who leave the Mount Washington and go spend money on the weirs. So basically, that was a comment that was somebody from the Mount Washington. So basically, the impact is negligible there. So now we go to Meredith. They had the same discussion over there in Meredith, but basically what they came up with was they were in discussion about their permit fees also, and what they decided was they couldn't agree, but they were up to $3,000. They called it a landing fee. And what they decided over there was they could use that money for water resources, to repair the docks and these other areas, but they decided not to. So in these information items, they all point to Wolfeboro and say, if you want to do something commercial, go to Wolfeboro. So here we are with the different classes. So that's my flow chart for the classes, and I think again when we get down through the cents per foot per landing, we're not being consistent across the board. So the way that the documentation that I'm finding is we should be making it consistent across the board.
So I agree and don't agree in that I put together a chart too, and all I did was divide it into boats under 40 feet and boats over 40 feet. And I left a range of where the board has levity to decide exactly where they want to go, because some boats would be here a lot and some would be here a little bit. So I think that we have to be able to determine the difference between a pontoon boat that makes 12 or 14 stops at our docks and a wake boat that makes 50 or 100 or 200 stops at the docks. And there's no way of really policing or patrolling and knowing how many times somebody hits the docks and how many times they don't. And I took into my chart, I included nonprofits that come in, and there's also a difference between boats that are docked and vessels that are docked and vessels that touch and go. So this, you're saying, is just for touch and go?
No, I'm saying, so when I saw the landing chart, you basically, in my chart, you're covered for whatever. You can come 228 times during the year, you can come 329 times during the year. And actually, it actually works better in the favor of the person that says, I want to come more times during the year than less times of the year.
Can I just ask a question on that, John? So just to, so your notion here is somebody could come and park on that dock, invite people on board to have music and beverages as long as they want during a given day?
No. So we still have a schedule.
Okay, you have a
that
schedule.
we still have to require a schedule so that the boats would come in. So yeah, we're off the barge thing a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
sitting here not saying the word because we're in the barge and now we're off into...
I'm not,
Nah.
so, but
Okay.
it is uniform, so we have to, so that's why I have that, but we're off the barge thing now. Okay, you're free.
Thank you.
So to Paul's question,
I'm free.
basically, when the Mount Washington comes in, or the dive would come in, everybody would have to coordinate the schedule to say, this is when they were coming in, and we would have to know that.
So if the Spirit comes to the town docks a quarter of the time that the Mount Washington comes, they pay $5,000 and the Mount pays $10,000.
It's all just based on length.
Interesting.
Yes, we've talked to the boats that come on demand. They can't give us a schedule.
Correct.
So we've got the boats on demand.
Yep, and we're not
so-
asking it.
What?
We're not asking a schedule for.
I thought you just said schedule.
You just did.
I thought I heard schedule.
We already agreed that they were going to self-police them on the small boats.
I heard you say schedule. That's why I'm reacting. If you weren't,
Okay.
I'll back off.
So
but I
let me
heard schedule.
rephrase that. The schedule would be for the bigger dock.
Okay, I'm fine then.
And the smaller dock, they police themselves,
They're on
like
demand.
the Libby dock, they police themselves.
On demand. Okay.
What?
We're talking about that dock over there.
Yeah,
Not the Libby dock.
yeah, not the Libby dock. That dock down there.
Thank you.
There's dock 1, and then there's commercial dock 3.
So the only one that I have close, I'm still waiting to talk to Georgetown and Sebago on the phone instead of just getting stuff off the computer. And I already did talk to Sunapee. Now, Sunapee has a strange situation. Sunapee pays $10,000 a boat for their boats to be on a dock on Lake Sunapee. But they have their boats there 24/7, 365. They have a shipyard, they have an office, and they have facilities to maintain everything. So they are leasing a huge facility for the same price that we would charge the Mount Washington to land here 10 minutes at a time, twice a day.
Can I ask him a question? So what size of the vessel is that?
They're both 169 feet and 160 feet.
Okay, so those would be that would be the Class C class.
Yeah, so that would be $7,500 each.
So that would be less than the 10,000.
Their $10,000 gives them 24/7 docking, 365 days a year, an office space and an area to do ticket rentals, and a shipyard for maintenance.
So your point is,
that they're getting a way better deal than the person that would be dropping and picking up for 10 minutes and paying $7,500.
Paul?
I think Linda was up first. You go first.
I'm just, the only thing on the chart is not Dock 2, and that is the Millie B. And we have given it right now, I think it's 1,500, and they're not going to be part of this chart.
No, I talked to Amy when she printed this up for me. I wanted to do the nonprofits on a separate item, which is not part of this. So these are for-profit. The Millie B is, and the Big Sandy
But that's the only
is.
one that's going in Dock 2.
Yes.
We're talking about Dock 2 at 1,500, and that is because it's a nonprofit.
Correct.
Okay,
And the Big
thank you.
Sandy comes in for $50, and they're a nonprofit.
Dave?
Paul?
All right. So both yours, John, and Brian's are some type of a scheme to apportion price to size. Okay, that's okay. But I want to flip this thing back around, not to make it complicated, but because of what I believe. We're forgetting that we are in the business of leasing real estate. That's what we're doing. We're leasing out a chunk of real estate. It's called the town docks, okay? The taxpayer paid for that real estate. They bought it. How much was the bond on that, Linda? Whatever it was.
Well,
some number.
700,000.
Some big number over there to do that.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I'm up. Time out. Let me. And I did a little, and you guys can do more. But it seems to me that the taxpayer is entitled to getting their real estate priced, if we're going to lease it, in a way that at a minimum pays the taxes that would be accrued if that was commercial space. In fact, it is, because no resident can go park over there because we're leasing it out to a commercial party. Whether they're profit or non-profit, irrelevant. Let me finish.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just getting in line.
So at a minimum, we are owed, the taxpayer is owed a portion, their taxes that would be put on that property, we owe them that money. Otherwise, it's a subsidy. And we don't like those because those are bad words. So there's a couple of ways you go after it. You could, one proposal, and by the way, your apportionment thing could work, both of you guys. You have somebody go and just appraise what that dock is worth if you had to replace it. Whatever the cost would be, you come up with a number, and then you go, okay, we're going to use the Thurston model that says if you get X number of feet, this is what you pay on an annual basis. The other would be, well, what does it cost for us to maintain that dock like we did and we proposed for the Libby docks? So you do a cost plus contribution to capital. And then when you're all done with that, you do comparables. And if we decide, what's the going rate, the market rate like over here, and when you're all done, you now know what our costs are, and then we can decide whether we want to deviate from those costs, whether we want to give somebody a break, or whether, and I don't say that in a negative way, whether we want to give somebody a break because it's in economic development's best interest or whatever. But I will shut up after this, I can't support a pricing model that doesn't start with understanding that our taxpayers have already footed the bill and they're entitled to get paid back for what they did.
Steve.
Period.
Linda was next.
Oh, I think John did. I was saying after John.
Oh,
So I'm glad that you said that, because the current model that we have right now, when we have a boat coming in for 4 cents and it's 230 feet and we charge them $9.20 per landing and we charge them $2,100 this last season, I don't think we're meeting that obligation because what I'm trying to understand is, and I can't really go into the specifics because that's in that document that Brian's going to read that made accusations that I was trying to put the money towards those repairs or towards other areas that the town was. But I think what Linda did when she made the motion is she took that all out because that just now goes into the general fund.
That's correct.
So Paul, what you just said is contrary to the motion that they approved that you and I voted against but that's all baked into the cake now.
But John, let's just go back to, you know, I'm with you. I was there. I witnessed all of this. Let's go back to just having at least for me, a basic agreement that we do not understand what it costs us to have that dock over there, period. Whether it be, you know, an appraised cost on the dock, a cost to rebuild the dock. If we knew that number, I think the rest of this exercise would just fall right into place because we would say, hey, we got to get our money back. We got to recover our costs or the taxpayers have a legitimate beef. I would start there and build up. Your apportionment thing, and yours too, could be interesting.
Linda?
Yes, I think we've got to realize, and I brought this picture, I was looking at it when I was thinking of our docks. And we all know that they come in and drop off, but all of this dock area, people sit there having ice cream, they walk back and forth, they fish, the Smith River canoe race. The boats are just part of who uses this dock. So the full cost of it is not on the people who, the commercial, the public itself uses this area. So most of the time, the boats aren't there. Most of the time, it's people mulling around. When we did it, we did this wall that isn't even part of the dock, of the commercial part of docking, that for $70,000 that we talked about. So we need to make sure that we're not labeling and saying everything that happens down there is only commercial because we know how much the people use that area that have nothing to do with the
So
boats.
Linda, are you also kind of saying that we have more residential boats that go to that dock?
No, I'm saying
I am.
People walk and use that dock.
I'm saying that we
Not
probably
just to load on a boat.
Yeah.
I'm saying that we go down there, they sit and have ice cream. I've seen kids fishing. I mean, that area where no boats are coming in and going out can be filled with people.
Yeah.
Take this in the spirit in which I offer it. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I have dropped ice cream all over that deck many times. But let's not start the conversation by discounting before we even know what the number is. Let's understand what it costs to have that facility over there. And then we can have the conversation that says, well, 30% of it should be discounted for people walking around with ice cream cones.
But we hadn't talked about that.
Let's not discount things until we really understand our costs for that dock, because when it is all done, and I didn't do the RSA stuff. Brian will do it or you'll do it. In there, it's telling us that we better dang well price our services in such a way that the taxpayer gets their money back. And so we need to understand how much money's out there that they need to get back.
But do we get our money back for Foss Field, for the tennis courts?
Oh, Brian, this goes if we follow this one, bless our hearts, we got this one to deal with everywhere because, you know, we're leasing town property down there at a building. This will cause us to have a financial policy that says you can't lease stuff out unless you know your costs. And if you decide to price below your costs, you better have a gosh darn good reason why you're doing it. Period. And by the way, we're getting gnawed out here, I'm fully supportive of having a conversation. I saw this in the letter from our friends at the Mount Washington. They're putting $1.2 million into this town's economy. I'm interested in their business. I'm interested in making it good for them to come and drop people off to spend money. So I'm not as draconian as people would want, but I really want to start by understanding what it costs us to provide that product.
Well, think about the tennis courts again. We're spending $50,000 to fix the tennis courts. Do we charge people for
I don't
playing
know yet.
tennis?
We got to understand our costs.
John?
Or kids to play basketball?
So you make up a good point, Paul, because in that letter that came out, there was some discussion whether or not they do draw in. So I went on this Winnipesaukee forum, and there was this guy, Gravy Boat, and he says perhaps 125 businesses should pony up the $300K. After all, they're the ones who gain the $500,000 a year they will see in return from their investments in less than 5 years. No need to take money from the taxpayers. And there's this other one here that says D. Breskin, and he basically says the EDC estimate is based on conjuncture with no data. There are other estimates with far lower numbers. So there's no restaurants that say, you came off the Mount Washington, check. You ate 4 burgers, check. So there's no data that specifically says that $1.2 million or $1.5 million or whatever number is going specifically to whatever they're saying.
In the world I live in, we call that value pricing. You know, we think there's some value, let's price it so there's value. I understand that, and people will always poke at it and say, well, the numbers are hooky. I got it. But before we even get to that conversation of whether we want a discount, a value price, or any of that stuff, we really should take the time to understand our costs. That's all I think we should do.
I have no problem finding the cost.
Good.
And then we need to look at what we do with that cost. And that, you know, I think it makes sense of cost, but we do need to look at what we do with that cost and where we put the burden of that cost.
Yep.
So
No, I'm fine with
Dave,
that.
I have one more information item. So I did look into a local place, the Corinthian slip fees. In order to get a slip at the Corinthian, you have to be a member, and that costs you $15,450 for the membership. You're assessed another $500 of fees, and then you're assessed $76 per boat, per foot, per vessel. So in order to rent over at the Corinthian, you're about $1,700, and I know Brian's a member over there.
Yep. Yeah, we are members. But the numbers are off a little bit. You can call my wife. She's the chair of membership there.
Well, I got it online. Maybe information that I get online isn't correct.
No, you got to check sources. So here's something that I want to read into. It says, this is from Jared from the Mount Washington, and I'll just read little pieces. That being said, I've reviewed the meeting minutes and the video feed of the meeting, and I'm deeply concerned about some statements made about our business. Selectman Deshays was correct when he said, I would have provided data about passengers if I were asked. In fact, I already have. I provided it last year to Mr. Thurston, the individual who presented the erroneous information at that meeting. Passengers annually presented to me, and he said, the idea was that we host 100,000 passengers annually, was presented to me by him last year, and I debunked it. The statement made in the meeting that no one called and spoke with me is untrue. I am deeply concerned that a $100,000 figure was entered into the public record anyway. Not only that, but the figure was used to call for a motion to increase our fees based on calculations that were knowingly and verifiably false. That should be a concern of the entire select board. So then it goes on, and like I said, I checked with Sunapee, and Sunapee pays $10,000 a boat, but they get a lot of service for their $10,000. It goes on to say that the Mount Washington has done a formal withdrawal. The company has withdrawn the 2026 landing permits for the MS Washington, the Spirit, and if it shows up, the Bell. Cessation of marketing. All Wolfeboro departures and stay-and-play marketing initiatives are suspended, effective immediately, to protect passengers and the brand from municipal uncertainty. Statistical improbability. The board's proposed $25,000 fee is based on a claim of 100,000 passengers, a figure that would represent nearly 7% of all the summer tourism in the entire Lakes region riding on the Mount Washington. That is a mathematical delusion that contradicts state tourism data and a violation of the limits of municipal home rule by attempting to tax passengers who do not visit Wolfeboro. So if you're using 100,000 as a ridership, not all of those are even coming to Wolfeboro. There's also a court case that's going on in Bar Harbor right now. It's been, well, first of all, the numbers that John is talking about, those numbers are for federal port authorities. That's what Bar Harbor is. That's what Rockland, Maine is. Those are controlled by the federal government. They set the numbers. Those boats that he's talking about, and I have a list of them here, are anywhere from 100 to... Where's my big one? 1,064 feet, 46 feet long, and have up to 2,888 guests on the boats that are paying for 1 week of passage on a cruise ship at up to $6,000 to $8,000 a piece. I think that the amount of money that that cruise ship gets is a little bit different than the Mount Washington paying when you pay $55 to go across the lake for 2 hours. So
the gentleman agrees.
Oh, hold on, let me finish. Bar Harbor, as I was talking about, was just had a court case go against them in front of a federal judge, and the federal judge said that it is inadequate justification to charge per person fees, which John said, well, we should charge per person fees. That was one of his, that it is inadequate justification to do that. You can't charge a business per person fees for people to come to your port, and that Bar Harbor, as of now, has already incurred $350,000 in legal debt for that action. Huh? That's the ocean. This is what John is talking about, Bar Harbor, and he's comparing our price for Mount Washington to the price at Bar Harbor and at...
So the gentleman, I believe, agrees...
And Rockland, Maine.
The gentleman agrees that we probably had this thing bass-ackwards, or stipulates that we shouldn't be looking at how many people are coming in. We should be looking at recovering our costs. There's no argument to be made by anybody that says you, the town of Wolfeboro, are not required to recover the costs of that dock. Nobody can tell you that.
So let me finish.
So if I could...
I wasn't done, though.
Well, yes, you were. Come on.
However, recent public discussion regarding landing fees suggests that the town no longer views us, the Mount Washington, as a strategic partner, but a merely transactional revenue source. And they went on to tell us that they would do other kinds of agreements with us where they would maintain the docks if we asked them to. That why didn't the town reach out to them and try and come to some kind of agreement? They also said in the February 11th meeting, Mr. Thurston made a motion to raise the landing fees for the MS Mount Washington for $25,000 based on calculations that the vessel carries 100,000 passengers annually at a rate of 25 cents per passenger. There's the 25 cents per passenger cost that Mr. Thurston was looking at that has been considered illegal in Bar Harbor. Mr. Thurston cited passengers' volumes and stated $100,000 passengers as a basis for Wolfeboro's specific landing fees. Despite my previous attempt last spring to correct his misinformation with Mr. Thurston, it continues to be used as justification for proposed fee increases. The entire summer tourism volume for the state of New Hampshire is projected at 4.6 million visitors. 1,440,000 will visit the Lakes region. Using the 100,000 number as effectively claiming the Mount Washington alone brings 7% of the Lakes Region summer tourism volume. That's 1 out of every 14 visitors to the entire Lakes Region goes on the Mount Washington. And he said he would love if that happened, but it doesn't. I could keep going, but
Please
I'm
don't.
done.
Dave.
Please don't.
John?
So, as I noted in the minutes, it said if, and then the other aspect here is, this is a workshop where, for ordinance amendments, and we're allowed to put this as a review process. Legal issues only arise if this action violates specific open meeting laws. It's a workshop. It's nothing that's binding. I can have that discussion. I didn't even get a second on it, Brian.
Hang on. Dave, can I,
Let's
John, can I?
let's move along.
John, the conversation amongst all of us scared the bejeepers out of him. Okay? Fact. That's how, when I read that, I went, scared the shit out of him. All right? And, I shouldn't use that word.
No, you shouldn't.
I didn't. I apologize.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna
Scared
speak one more
the
time.
bajonkers out of them. And right now, the way I look at this, and I know you may not like it, but I think we've done a good job tightening up the language. I think we are not even in the zip code about the prices, and we probably should take this out to public hearing.
Yep, it's where I
And
am.
I think when that comes back, I think you can depend upon me to be a no vote on anything other than a cost-based pricing model. And that's where I would like to end this right now and say, I'm going to recommend we take this to public hearing.
I'll second that.
So,
Wait a minute. John
No.
had his hand up.
So we need to remove the 4 cents per foot because we are not being consistent on a legal basis.
But I think you're on the old thing. There's nothing about 4 cents in here.
Our permit says 4 cents per foot of the vessel.
Once we redo this, our permit will change.
On page 6, it's been removed.
So there's no price increase, there's no price for a vessel then at all.
No.
This is the document that I'm recommending that we take to public hearing.
So how do you price a
After public
vessel?
hearing, and after public hearing, John, this is the document I motioned and was a second that we'll take to public hearing.
I'm asking a question.
I know you are. I just want to make sure you understand what the document is we're referencing.
I want to move the question, because there's a motion on the floor.
He's got a question he wants to ask.
I asked the question, what is the price per vessel for the Mount Washington if we're not using 4 cents? They're not coming anyways, so what would be the calculating mechanism for that landing then?
I think that will be determined at the public hearing. Because I think that the numbers that you put forward are ludicrous. I think they're ridiculous. I can't see taking a high school kid or a college kid who has a pontoon boat who comes here 12 times a year and paid $100 last year, which was too low, and put him up to $3,000. That's ludicrous.
We already agreed that $3,000 was the amount for the commercial dock.
Well, we just take it out and let's see what the public says.
I
That's
don't-
where we should go right now.
No.
Changes are in here. If you get the right document, they're all there.
You can vote no on my motion.
I don't know what your motion is, Paul.
My motion is to take this document to public hearing.
And
it was seconded by-
in the document, it says $3,000 and $5,000.
It's to take it to public hearing.
Yeah, and in public hearing, the public can speak and we can change
Yeah,
that
none of this
if we get
set.
information from the public
We
that
have to
says
have
it's
two public
ludicrous, because it
hearings.
is.
And John, I further said that I was going to move to do that, and if it comes back after public hearing and we can't figure out what our costs are to set a price, you can depend on me to be a no vote. Because that's the only thing I'm going to agree to, is we start with costs and we build up, as opposed to start with price and figure out how to charge somebody.
All right.
Which is the way I'm going to
We
do
have
it.
a motion. Discussions ended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Fair,
Okay, 4 and 1 abstention.
fair.
Okay, next, any old business? None? Any other business?
Hey, monkey business.
Any other business?
Yeah.
I'll wait till committee reports to do my, have a discussion.
Town managers report?
Couple things. As you're aware, I just returned from vacation. We are in receipt of a petition to lay out Winnipesaukee Estates and Knight Ave as a town roadway. I've reached out to them.
I'm sorry,
Secure
Jim, I didn't-
permission for
Jimmy,
our...
I didn't hear that. You're in receipt of what?
We are in receipt of a petition to lay out Winnipesaukee Estates and Knight Ave as a town road.
Okay.
I have reached out, I've received written permission from them for staff to be able to access the roadway to evaluate once the weather clears up. So that is an item that you need to be aware of that will be forthcoming. We do have a planner who will be starting on April 6th. He is from Old Orchard Beach. He has been the planner there. Jeffrey Hiddenleiter is his name. He seems like he's going to be an excellent fit, and he's got some excellent background. Michelle is currently working on scheduling opportunities for the planning, zoning, and select boards to meet with him. Just a reminder that town meeting is next Tuesday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Please come out and vote. And just getting caught up from vacation, that's all I have.
Okay, committee reports?
Start down there this time. I started first last time, please.
Brian?
Well, I was on vacation, so I didn't have time to do much for committee reports, but I will tell you this. I made 4 phone calls a day and had a whole bunch of emails and text messages with town business while I was on vacation, and I drove my my travel companion's batty. But I want to read one thing. I have written you within the past week about the failure of the well recovery. We continue to get no response from the town manager as to his leadership in this matter. Jim was on vacation. It has been brought to my attention that the same occurrence of the facility going into default failure occurred before the renovation. It did not. It is the responsibility of the town manager to provide the public and taxpayers a letter of condolence for his misguided leadership, not necessary, in not forthcoming information related to the deficiencies in the past and how our 40-year-old used pump and chiller system were compromised. Well, we heard all this tonight, that was all misinformation, that the chiller system is old, we know that, it has 20 years of life left into it. The well did not fail before the rink was rebuilt. We actually built a new well, put a new well in before this. The town needs to see a resignation from the town manager before his actions have caused mistrust and failure to be transparent to the taxpayers. Sincerely, John Thurston. This is bull, is what it is, because this is attacking somebody when they're on vacation about information that was just shown to us tonight by 2 different individuals is all misinformation, and I don't like misinformation.
Paul?
Over the past couple of weeks, I have responded to people's questions about the warrant articles, and I've tried to stay away from interfering at all in any of the the contesting that's going on. My general sense, and I think tomorrow is it tomorrow night, Linda? Do you know before you go?
Correct.
I think, and by the way, I think Tom did a nice job writing something to the press. There's this carbuncle out there, and I don't know whether it's misinformation or what, but there's this nugget out there that this ambulance thing is not a good investment to be made, and I can get into the discussion about whether it is or it isn't, but I started with one and only one initial decision, and I think people should do this. My advice. You have to ask yourself a question. If you had a couple of $1 million, somebody asked us, who from this up here has been on the business person? Me. if you had a couple of $1 million, would you decide to get into an ambulance business here in the state of New Hampshire to ferry somebody from, from where they are to the hospital, knowing that you're going to get reimbursed about $350? What's the average reimbursement? $350, Tom?
I think it's
$400?
1,600, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to get a small amount of money reimbursed. You're going to carry about $1 million in operating costs, and then you're going to have to buy some capital. The business world that I live in says that math doesn't work. And that explains why we've seen across the state people getting out of this business. It is not a for-profit business any longer. And so my first decision was, is there a trend here? And yes. My second decision was, shouldn't we just syndicate this thing and, get 3 or 4 other towns and kind of get together and share costs and all of that stuff? And I went around and I found that there are a couple of towns whose names I wouldn't disparage and mention, that they just found that after 2 years of being in business together, they couldn't be in business together. They just couldn't. They couldn't figure out how to, figure out where the ambulance would be and how this all stuff would work. So the first question you need to ask yourselves, voters, is, do you believe that if you had a couple of $1 million that you could get into this business and make a buck at it? And the answer is no. Now, someone out there is going to say, well, that just proves the point that this is going to be, and I've heard the word pit and money in the same 2 words. It is not. We promise that we need to manage this thing extremely well. But we got to get away from this idea that somebody else can do it for us, because I think that pond is drying up. So that's all I have to say. I've been trying to stay away from all this other stuff. Thank you.
Linda?
Okay, I'll go back to committees. I attended the Friends of Pop Whalen meeting. As stated before, I was at the candidates night presentations, and that was put on by Community TV. I attended the Chamber Mingle. Again, there was an event that was very highly attended. And I attended a Community TV meeting regarding its finance.
Okay, the only thing I was at candidates night. Yeah, I think so.
No, Brian was on vacation.
Okay, any questions from the press?
No, I'm not done.
Oh, that's right.
My turn. So, thank you, Brian. You're a gentleman and a scholar, and I do think that we heard from Victor tonight that there were items that were part of the old system that they were removed. So I don't think it's not truth. And after a year of being here, I wrote down a few different things. The collection at the Libby, appraise it, get it out.
Wait. We're on committee reports.
Well, those guys just spoke, but I'm a committee of 1 right now.
I think somewhere, and I don't have problems with you going on because that's what they did. I thought we would do committee reports. This should have come on under other business. And when we can't follow our own structure, we're here forever.
I'm going to read what I have. You heard what started down the road.
Okay, I guess we'll continue then.
Collection of the Libby. Appraise it, get it out, and store it. Jim, we instructed you to fulfill that task. You've given us no inclination of any effort. Over the year, this is what I've seen and heard about. Decaying infrastructure, decaying facilities. Roads are showing the end of their useful surfaces. Loss of key employees over the years. Low employee morale. Loss of 3 planners over the years. 1 finance director. 2 water department heads. 2 parks and rec foremen. 1 town engineer, public works director. 2 police chiefs. Leadership non-management. We're in the 3rd year. We've had 2 default budgets. We're on the cusp of a 3rd default budget. The ambulance service. This has been a lack of truthful information. Buried in the original report in the letter from Carl Lehman, a bidder lower than Stewart's, Brewster Ambulance Service, offered $600,000. According to Justin at Stewart's Ambulance Service, they would have been happy on a longer-term contract in the range of $600,000 to $750,000, depending on the exact contract specs. Carl Lehman says vote a solid no on Article 3, 4, and 16. Town should abandon fire-based ambulance service and negotiate a long-term contract with Stewart's or Brewster. Say no to funding future millions with town-based ambulance service. We have a contract right now with Stewart's Ambulance Service. We actually will have coverage and a half this year. After being involved for a year between citizens' petitions and public consensus, what I'm hearing, the voters don't have confidence in the town leadership. Are we truly better off with new leadership? The culture needs to change. To Jim and a few of you, you should stop scaring the public into giving up their hard-earned dollars for misleading and misguided direction that comes without management of facilities, town government, infrastructure, employees, and departments. The public is horrified with your inactions and actions. Taxpayers are tapped out. Go to the polls, citizens, and send the message.
All right. Any questions from the press?
Nobody on.
Okay. Public input again? Anybody want to talk to us now?
Hi, Ann Blodgett. A lot of talk about the docks. I heard something at the last meeting that got quickly passed over, and that is the sewer capacity report at 92%. It seems like a pretty high priority to me in terms of the future of our town. Mm-hmm. I hope at the next meeting you'll address that report and what it means in terms of planning and economic development, expansion, taxpayer dollars, future tax impact, and so forth. Thank you.
Good input.
Suzanne Ryan, speaking for myself. Linda made mention of this a little while ago. There was a town meeting vote. This is relevant to the Pop Whalen. I hadn't expected that you were speaking on that tonight, but came across this. In 2020, Article 13, the Board of Selectmen, and this was passed, Board of Selectmen requested to investigate the purpose for which the POP Enterprise Fund was established. We never got an answer to that. It can't be found. I'm sure it can be found. I think I found it once a long time ago. But anyway, it's called a proprietary fund. It's not an enterprise fund, according to the accounting manual. It further was to see if the voters are willing to have the Board of Selectmen investigate making changes to the purpose of the POP Enterprise Fund. These changes may include building and infrastructure-related capital expenses being funded by us, the general fund taxation, rather than by the POP Enterprise Fund. It's still not really clear how this thing is happening. And then it said, any changes to the process of the POP Enterprise Fund shall be brought to the voters at a subsequent town meeting. It's never been followed through. We never got a clear answer as who's paying for what, except we know the taxpayers are paying a goodly chunk. And by the way, the mechanicals, being on the CIP, when Victor Druin first came in, and we had the other town manager, who felt that the building could be saved, but at any rate, that's history. The discussion was made about the infrastructure of that building, the mechanicals and all the things you're talking about now that are going south on us. We knew it. That's not a surprise. We knew it, but nobody wanted to put it in the warrant article because that would have killed it. It would have put it over the top. So shame on us for buying into it. The other thing is, I was looking for something else when my dog ate the paperwork. I came across this stormwater management system plan, 2019. Good stuff. Are we keeping up with that? I doubt it. And to Brian, who's always so proud to say we have the lowest tax rate all around, or one of the lowest tax rate all around. That's not a medal of honor. That's a shame, because we need to spend money on our infrastructure. We're putting a little money away every year. We put a little money away, $50,000 in 2016, $50,000 in 2020, $50,000 in 21. I don't know. I would like at a future meeting for maybe the town manager to get together with an interim finance person and tell us what we have in the sewer capital reserve fund, the wastewater management fund. I don't think there's probably a whole lot in there that will support this plan that says you're supposed to be putting away substantial amounts of money every year. We're not doing it. We're not keeping up. We're not keeping up. Finding that pipe is just a reflection on this. There it is. It told you to do it, to go look for it. Last thing, at the candidates' night, Linda brought up that she now supports my citizens petition warrant article. Well, you kind of had your chance in 2023 when we had the warrant article for the Friends, and you abstained. But now, you like the idea of a 501c3. Of course you do, because you know what? You're all personally liable for negligence of the Libby Museum Trust, individually. Maybe not you, because you just came. So that's a great way out for the selectmen. Get somebody else to take the problem on. Wash your hands of it. The thing of it is, at candidates' night, when both of you said you support that warrant article for independent 501(c)(3), you never said which one. The one that is made verbal discussion with the town that would tear down the building and put up a different kind of building and not a museum, or the one that's referenced in the warrant article 25, a new one. You didn't tell me which one you support. So I find that very interesting. Basically, what you've done is you've hitched your horse to our wagon. You saw a popular item that's gaining momentum, and you hitched your horse to it. So maybe we'll see you after the election, maybe we won't. Thank you.
And last but not least, I'd like to read a somewhat interesting quote from the Granite State Collaborative regarding warrant article number 13 from March of 2023. Somebody said, "We have an obligation for the safety of our citizens. You can't put our kids in this water where you have high E. coli value. We would have to close our beaches, shut them down." Select person Linda Murray. Where was your urgency at the town docks? To Mr. Thurston's comment, sell a warrant article based on fear. This is what you guys have done. This is what you've historically done, at least in foreseeable years here. That warrant article was to get sewer to the beach, and you use the fear of Jockey Cove and the people around it to sell it. And as you say, you wouldn't want your kids in that water. Well, I assure you, you didn't know the source of the E. coli. You still don't. And if you say, yes, you do, Mr. Pinio, then you'd be lying right now, because we all know we don't know the source of it. But you spent the money. You used the fear to get the money, which is 100% what Mr. Thurston's talking about.
I'm not going to badger anyone tonight, so I'm trying to be nice. I just want to make a comment about these boat fees, the dock fees, boat fees, however you call them. I think I've been to 3 meetings now, and that's 20, 21 hours out of my life I'm never going to get back, and neither are you. I can't believe you can't figure out what you want to do on these boat fees. This is why I said last time when we talked about this, or when I heard you talk about it, if I had my preference, I wouldn't do this at all, because you can't seem to even come to agreement on what you should charge and how you should charge it. I like your idea, Paul. We should know what the hell it's costing us so that we can charge them. At least that makes some sort of sense. I also would point out that letter that you read, Brian. Mm-hmm. I was there at the meeting. I didn't recall that he insisted on charging per person. He made a statement saying that he thought that the number of people riding now was $100,000, and if we were to charge 25 cents a piece, it would be this amount. I thought it was high. At the end of the meeting, I also said, I don't think that's correct. I don't think you should charge $25,000. I don't want to lose the mount coming here. And I don't know how that leaked. I mean, I understand it's a public meeting, but there was no motion, there was no decision, there was no nothing. So that letter was pretty much based on what I think somebody might have said. And I don't think it was really appropriate for that letter, number one, to be written, number two, to be read out in public session. So, I mean, it's done, but it was based on presumption. And so what happens is you end up smearing him. So no wonder you guys can't get along.
So
you're supposed to work together.
Wait a minute.
I'll talk to you about it later.
Yeah,
because
I know. I
it's
know
true.
there's friction. I understand that. I understand the friction. I do. What I'm trying to tell you, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, is you're here to work together. Okay? You're here to serve the public. You're here to serve the taxpayers. Mm-hmm. You need to get along. You really need to get along. Because if I'm on that side of the table in a couple of weeks, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to spend 5 hours here talking about a damn dock fee. Okay? It's my intention, if I get onto that side of the table, that we're going to get through this stuff quicker. More quickly than we're doing now. I mean, I was here at 6:30. It is now 10:15, close to 10:15. What have you accomplished tonight? Seriously, what has been accomplished tonight? I used to run a business. If you were my employees, I'd probably fire the lot of you because you can't seem to get anything done. Again, nothing personal. Just please get along. Let's get something done. Let's get something accomplished. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yep.
I had intentions of doing this in non-public this evening. However, based on Selectman Thurston's comments, I feel it's appropriate that I do it in public, which is my right. March 4th, 2026, Wolfeboro Select Board. In-hand delivery will be copies for you. Wolfeboro Select Board. This letter provides the Wolfeboro Select Board my official notice and formal resignation from the Town of Wolfeboro Town Manager effective April 10th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Lori and I reached this decision after significant discussion and consideration during our recent vacation. The decision is based on an offer of employment which allows us to go home, bringing us much closer to family. I thank you for the opportunity to have served the town of Wolfeboro since 2016 as your fire chief and town manager. I wish the town of Wolfeboro success in its future. Respectfully submitted, James Scott Peniel.
Okay, anybody else? Do I have a motion to go into non-public?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.